Hello, everybody. This is Fred, and I am being joined today by my friend David, who is in Texas. Hey, hello, David.
Hello.
And we are doing a bootleg podcast because
We're
David's
old.
because we're old. Actually, yeah, that's perfect. Uh,
Because we're old and we don't know how to record podcasts. You
so
know what?
go ahead. I'm
There's
sorry,
probably a program that you could easily buy for like $9.99 that makes this into a 1, 2, 3 thing, but we don't want to spend the
dude.
$9.99.
Dude, I'm a government employee. I don't have $9.99 to spend on programs. But we figured out a way to record podcasts over Skype, and I fucked that podcast up, so we had to delete it, and now I forgot how to do it. So
I really think that the first podcast we recorded, when you plugged in your headphones and it wreaked havoc on our entire podcast, I think that was the proof that we actually didn't figure it out the first time.
it was working fine, and then I completely messed it up halfway through. It was perfectly fine, and I can't figure out how to do it again. So
Was it like an hour into it? Was it like two
I
2 hours?
I want to say it was like a half hour into a 2.5 hour podcast
Oh
about
my
Star
god.
Wars.
2.5 hours just fucking lost.
Yeah.
You bastard.
We were up to like 3 in the morning recording it, and
We really were.
it's complete, and it's not even an experience we can learn from because I clearly don't remember how to do it. So this podcast, David's audio quality is going to be a little less than mine, so bear with me. I'm going to learn how to do this next time, but for now,
And even then, that's me trying to make sure I'm not talking too loud because I don't want to wake up my baby.
yeah. So David has to try to not disturb his family while he's recording this. So we're not going to get his usual screaming at me. So that's actually a good thing. But as I was trying to deal with this in a very frustrating display, David brought up a good topic because we actually didn't have a topic for this, and
I thought we were going to record our Infinity War podcast.
that's true. We should record Infinity War instead of what the misery we're going to get into in the next hour. We decided we were going to talk about getting older. And David, why don't you start? What made you think about this? What made you come up with this topic?
So what made me come up with this topic was in the middle of trying to figure out how the hell we're going to record this podcast, I realized that I never thought that we would reach a point, at least our generation would reach a point where the technological gap that our parents experienced would hit us, where we would be like, I don't understand how this works. And I'm realizing now, like, how old are we now? 34?
Yeah.
We're 34, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I have to be reminded how old I am.
I can't believe I'm 34.
Dude, forget 34. I keep thinking I'm 33.
Yeah. I'm stuck on 33.
And then last year I thought I was 32. So I never know how old I am.
So our generation was like the first generation to have the internet. Like when we were young and we grew up with it.
We were that transitional generation that knew the phone. I mean, I even remember the rotary phone.
Right.
Like the actual, like you turn the fucking shit. Like that was, we reached that point. We witnessed cordless phones in the home. And now we have really reached a point where you don't need a phone in your home anymore.
No.
I actually just convinced my mother that she needs to get rid of it because she has a cell phone.
Do you have one?
She doesn't. I don't have a phone in the house.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't. It's not necessary anymore. Ever since I haven't had a phone in the home since I left my mother's home.
Yeah. When me and Lynn first moved here, we had a landline phone, and every month it was just an extra bill, and it never ever rang. It's completely unnecessary in this day and age. And it took at least a year for me to convince her we don't need this. And it was a bit of a battle because Lynn is very paranoid and thinks that that Armageddon's going to happen and we're not going to be able to reach people or something like that.
Even if the Armageddon does happen, the landline's not going to work either.
That's true.
You're screwed either way. You're going to be melting. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, I think the only people that have landline now are old people who don't know how to cancel it.
Yeah, our parents have it, and even then, just talking about this now, I'm now realizing that my daughter's generation she is actually she is growing up in a generation where she doesn't know how to work a cable TV box. She's never seen that kind of remote before. She doesn't know that she can change channels and that there are other channels that have different things on it. All she knows right now is that the Apple TV has Netflix, YouTube, and movies, and these are the three things that encompass her life.
She's only ever going to know a world where if she wants to watch something, she can just select it as opposed to...
And watch it.
Yeah, waiting for something to play and hoping she catches it.
She's not going to understand that shows actually play live at some point, and that she has to watch at a specific time and not when she feels like watching it.
Right.
Because that's how it is now. Like, I don't watch live TV anymore. It's funny because the only live TV I watch is sports, and that's it. That's the only thing I have to watch live. Anything else is arbitrary. I'll watch it tomorrow.
You know, me and Lynn were having a conversation the other day where I was like, there was a time in my life where it's just Saturday morning, I had to wake up like 6:30 to watch cartoons, right? And I would watch cartoons from like 6:30 to 11 when they stopped. And then from 11 to, like 8 o'clock at night, there was just nothing on TV. There was like the pit of...
That interested you.
Yeah, like a Saturday at like 2 o'clock, the only thing you can see on TV is like 86, like Knight Rider was playing, and Star Trek was playing, like all this shit that I didn't care about.
I think that's why I got into shows. Like, I remember every summer, like, my parents were the kind of parents that we didn't have anybody to really watch us during the summer. So there was a point where my mom would just leave us alone at home. It was just like, don't answer the phone and don't answer the door. We were home alone. But during that time, I remember USA being like life.
Yeah.
Because I used to watch Wings. I used to watch oh my God, what other shows used to be on USA? I know Wings was a big one. I used to watch that. I used to watch Perfect Strangers all the time. The Cosby Show was definitely something I watched. Like, those were the live action type of sitcom type shows that I watched as a kid. And it was just a normal thing. Whatever was a rerun on those shows is what I watched every single day.
Yeah,
when the cartoons stopped.
Those were the really boring shows. Like, there's no kids in this. There's no cartoons in this. It's like, as soon as I remember I would flip through the channels, and if I just saw adults talking, I
droned out.
Yeah, I wanted nothing to do with this. Like, if there was a kid on screen anywhere, then I would stay. But fuck adults talking.
Yeah, for me, I had nothing else to watch, so I was like, fuck it. I mean, we used to play the shit out of these. I used to have like these DuckTales VHS that we played the shit out of.
Right.
All the different like Disney movies or whatever we could watch. I think that's why my sister made us watch The Little Mermaid so many fucking times. These cartoons stopped at some point. But even then, like, do you remember? I don't even remember how old we were when the first cartoon channel started, where there was cartoons on all day.
Yeah, Cartoon Network was really when it started. I remember.
Like, did that happen when we were in middle school? Were we in high school when that first started?
It had to be. No, I'm thinking we were at least 12, because I remember right around the time it started. Well, just the timeline was I had visited family in Guatemala, and I was home all day because what am I going to do in Guatemala? And they had the Cartoon Network, and I was just so grateful that there was a channel that was all cartoons 24/7, even if they were all then, like old Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, I was about to say, because it was all the old Hanna-Barbera, like Yogi the Bear,
right?
And shit like that.
Flintstones.
Mm-hmm.
And but
always that you saw.
But I didn't care. If it was cartoons, I will watch it. It didn't matter that they were like stupid cartoons, or like old cartoons.
As long as it was a cartoons.
If it was animated, I'll watch it. I didn't care. So
see, I don't know why I naturally progressed into just watching live action stuff.
Because you were bored. You were bored out of your mind.
So like, I remember becoming really invested into Wings, man. And I was a kid.
Because you had to be.
Been watching Wings.
You had to be. You had nothing else. You were a prisoner.
I know way too much about Nantucket. That fucking show.
Like, cause for me it was okay. The cartoon stopped. That's when it was time to play video games. That's So, I whatever I could do to avoid watching live action grown up bullshit. I'll even go outside. Like, that was outside time too.
You're like, oh, okay, I guess let me go see what Chris is doing.
Yeah, I guess I have to go outside and play baseball now because there's nothing to fucking watch. But yeah, so our generation, I feel, is like the first time. Like my family got the internet in 1997, and obviously that changed everything. And like the time between, you know, when I was a kid to 1997, that's one era, right? And then the era after that is the internet era, and I just felt like we would always be at the forefront of whatever technology is, right? Because we were there at the beginning.
Yes, so we would always witness the change and naturally adapt with it.
Right, because our parents were always asking us, how do I do this thing on the computer? You know, we were the ones to help them.
Forget even the computer. I was the only one that knew how to program the VCR.
Yes.
So every time my mom wanted novellas or her fucking soap operas to be recorded,
yeah,
I was the one that was programming the VCR and just to get it done. And this was not a complicated fucking piece of machinery. And now they have fucking iPads and all this shit, and that's why I hate talking to my mother half the time, because she doesn't know what she's doing, and I'm not fucking there, so I can't help you.
Do you think you can program a VCR today?
Yes.
Like
a VCR, I could definitely. Yeah, a VCR. Like if you gave me a VCR, I'd be able to figure it out in 2 seconds. Like I even had the kind of VCR where you remember how like you had to actually have. There was like these little like white tools that were connected. Like you know how it always had that little panel that opened up to show you the real buttons, the extra advanced buttons, you know?
Yeah.
And then there was always like either it would be like a yellow knob that's actually there, or there would be a little white tool that would be connected to that panel, and you would have to take it off, and that's how you could change the tracking of what you were recording. Like the speed and like the quality of what you're watching. Because it used to be a point where the videotape you're watching may have degraded a little, so the tracking would help clean up and stop the static on the video.
Listen,
I remember
I don't
that.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You must have had some like future VCR or something, because my VCR didn't have this shit.
No, it's because I had like because you probably had like fucking Sony Hitachi type shit,
and you had like industrial grade VCR.
I had straight up Seikyo fucking Mitsubishi type shit.
Yeah, my VCR had auto tracking. I don't know what the fuck you were doing.
No. We had to do that shit ourselves, my friend.
Yeah, I was just thinking the other day. I remember it being like an item of luxury to have a VCR rewinder, a VHS rewinder, like. Not just rewinding the VHS on the VCR, but actually having a
thing that was separate.
Yeah, just for rewinding. Like I remember going into people's houses and I'm like, damn, they have a rewinder. Like that's the class right there. That's a luxury item.
Yo, I used to see that and I always used to think to myself, why the fuck do they need that if the VCR rewinds anyway? I always used to think that people who bought that were the stupid people that bought things late at night and like as seen on TV type shit.
You know, to be fair, the rewinders were super fast. Like way faster than a VCR rewinder.
But maybe I just don't remember suffering to the rewinding process.
Oh yeah.
Like I just remember just sitting there and like it didn't take that long to rewind a tape from beginning to end.
Well, so when I was really young, I used to record every episode of The Simpsons. So so I had tapes and tapes. I think I got to like 9 tapes that were all just Simpsons. So it became an art form of like not just recording it, but you have to record it without the commercial. So you have to pause it at just the right time.
Shut the fuck up. So you're telling me you watched it in live time, you paused during the commercials, and then started recording again?
Yeah, and then on top of that, there were some times where an episode would get messed up, so I would have to re-record the episode over again, but not the part that didn't get messed up. Like if it got messed up like 17 minutes in, I had to time it just right where I would pick up recording right where the tape messed up, and then try to kind of make it go flow perfectly.
Jesus Christ! So you were like Like he was like a fucking producer in NASA, trying to fucking sit there trying to record shit.
Totally, and
to the second.
And do you remember just recording a bootleg VHSs, like renting a movie and then having two VCRs?
See, that is when I knew people were rich, when they had two VCRs, because we were a simple family. We only had one VCR. I remember telling my mother, we need another VCR so we can record videos, because I saw a kid do it for the first time. Like, I remember, I don't know what movie it was, but I had a movie that this kid I knew didn't have.
Right.
So when I went to his house, he told me, bring that video. And when I brought it, he recorded it in front of me, like with a two VCR setup, and we watched the movie. And I was just always like, yeah, now I have the movie too.
Right.
And I just remember thinking, like, so you're telling me I can record everything in Palmar Video?
Yeah. Absolutely. You know who had a
blew my mind.
You know who had a two VCR setup was Lizardo. And we would do that all the time, where I would buy a tape and he would copy it, and vice versa. He would copy stuff for me.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And do you remember some rental tapes had color guard protection, where if you tried to duplicate it, the colors would be all reversed and messed up? Like,
no, because like I said, I never really did it. I never really got to record tapes like that. So I never knew that there was even, I didn't know there was this whole piracy. That was the beginning of piracy, really.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, like, on, like, the streets of New York, I mean, now you could get, like, movies on DVDs and stuff, but people were just selling bootleg VHS tapes,
I fucking kid you not. I was at a barbershop where, and it's funny, because it's always the typical, like, Mexican dude or, like, Asian person coming in. They don't know English, but they go, movies.
Yes,
movies.
yes!
So this is how I know we have reached a new level of fucking movies. Like, I don't even understand what the hell. So, when you're at the barbershop, it used to be where you were like, $2, $5, $10 for, like, the DVD, right? And they give you the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. It went from DVDs to Blu-rays. Now, Fred, this person has the same book. You know how it has the little slips,
yeah,
movies, so like it's like the full page, whatever it is. You pick the movie. Okay, give me email, and then they send you a link where you just download the fucking video file.
Shut
and
up.
You can play it anywhere. And you just the fucking link. When you go to the link, it even tells you how to get your video file onto a PlayStation, Apple TV,
my
a Roku,
God.
like anything. It just here's the movie. And it plays the fucking, it's like an MPEG file.
Wow.
The fucking DivX file of the fucking movie now. They don't even fucking burn that shit on Blu-rays for you no more. Because everything is streaming. There's a fucking bootleg streams now, Fred. I couldn't fucking believe it. I wanted to I wanted my barber to stop cutting my hair just so I could record this exchange.
But, like,
I fucking lost it.
But can't you, like, if with enough effort, couldn't you just find a streaming site for whatever they're selling?
Absolutely, but for $5, I don't have to look.
Wow, that's a new level of laziness. Someone fucking Googled it for you. Then you paid them $5.
I mean, I didn't actually pay for it, but still.
Oh,
like,
wow.
I was almost there. I was like, I really don't want to look for that movie. Oh shit.
So okay, so what have you experienced recently?
Hold on. Lynn is here. What? Yeah, come in. So
So what have you experienced recently that really made you feel old?
So what I experienced that made me feel super old was, First was, I always knew that there was this thing called Kodi, right?
Right.
That people use to bootleg movies and watch illegal streams of movies and shit like that, right? But I never myself understood how to download it or how to get it installed or what to do. I always knew that people said you have to install it, you have to jailbreak like a Fire Stick or an Amazon device or all these streaming devices that exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just never knew enough for me to really delve into that world and do it myself. But recently, one of Lynn's friends was telling me that it's easy. Just go on YouTube, you can watch videos and figure out how to do it. So Lynn bought a Fire Stick.
I feel like Kodi is such a common thing now that if I would assume that it's like really streamlined, very user friendly, that any Bobo could figure it out.
You know what it is, and this is what made me feel old about it was, I feel like the Kodi world has existed definitely more than the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So like 5 years ago, I could have been doing this shit and figured it out. But maybe 5 years ago was a lot harder than it is now.
Okay.
But now, it's definitely not as streamlined as you describe, but it would be. It would be for like 15-year-old me. Because 15-year-old me used to take the time to fuck around on like a Windows PC and figure out all the settings and figure out all this shit. You know?
Yeah.
Used to always like fuck around and like just to be able to get my computer to run just a little bit faster so I can watch porn. You know?
That's what it's all about.
It was learning everything so I could watch porn just a little bit faster. So you know, just to learn all this shit. But now I don't take the time to do any of that because I really, in fact, Apple is why this has happened to people. That there used to be a time where you would have a device, a computer, or operating system, and you would dig deep into it to learn its intricacies, so you could game the system, or you could just do things with it, right? But Apple has almost stupefied the world in a sense of making everything so point and click and easy, like user friendly, that you don't really need to learn the intricacies of anything anymore. Because everything that you would want to do is in your face and easy.
All right, hold on. Back up a little bit, Alex Jones here with the conspiracy.
No, I don't.
No, I'm just hold on.
I don't think that that's the actual. I don't think that that's what they actually meant to do.
But hold on.
I just think that it's how you call it, like a side effect.
I'm hearing two scapegoats for you not being able to figure out Kodi here.
No.
Okay, no. Let me continue.
It's because I'm old too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so the first scapegoat was you don't have the time to learn this. So we're gonna. I definitely want to get back to that point. The second point is that you feel that everything has become so user friendly that anything that's even remotely complicated befuddles us.
I think I'm stumbling into something there because things are just so easy to use nowadays that you don't really need to fucking dig deep anymore to learn anything. You can if you want, but you don't have to.
I don't know if that theory holds water, considering we couldn't figure out how to properly do this podcast.
That was my other point to bring this up, is that the reason I learned how to jailbreak the Fire Stick was because YouTube exists now.
Right.
And YouTube has now blown up in this like do-it-yourself type culture where you can find a video for just about anything. You can find a video on YouTube right now on how to stitch yourself.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
If you have a cut and you don't feel like going to the goddamn ER, or you can't afford Obamacare or anything, you can learn how to properly and cleanly stitch yourself if you wanted to on YouTube right now.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's how I learned how to jailbreak an Amazon Fire Stick and do it. And even the term jailbreak is not even true. Like all these people you meet on Craigslist, or people who sell them, and they're like, oh yeah, I have a jailbroken Fire Stick, and they're selling it for like $80, $65 or whatever, on top of whatever the unit actually costs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people pay it because they don't want to go through the minutia of doing it themselves. When in reality, the Fire Stick, the only thing you're really doing, you're not jailbreaking anything. You literally check on two boxes in the options that allow you to download stuff from unknown sources, and you just download a program onto your Fire Stick, install it, and you're done. That's it. That's all you just install something. The only thing you really need are the URLs that you don't know about, and the YouTube video has the URLs for you. And it explains where to go in the settings and how to do it and where to download it and how to install it, and then here, now you have it, use it.
Okay, well, I want to examine this contradiction a little bit, because you're saying that things are too easy now, but that you're also saying that some things are too hard. too. So I'm curious. Like,
well, no, okay. So
I'm not trying to poke holes in your theory. I'm just examining what you're saying. So
because
the idea that okay, sorry, the idea that Kodi is so easy to install yet so difficult to use. You know.
Yes, it is because let's put it like this: if I didn't have the YouTube video, right? If I didn't have the YouTube video explaining for me step by step how to do this, and I was just doing it on my own without knowing anything, I could not get Kodi installed on a Fire Stick successfully.
You would never be able to figure it out.
I would be able to figure out, just like you learned everything else, if you did, like, even if you did like a write up, I could probably figure it out, but it'd take much longer than it would watching the video.
Okay, now how much of this do you attribute to just your age now that you can't your brain is just not as quick as it used to be, and not you can't
see, and that's why, and this is where my whole Apple theory comes into play. I don't necessarily think that it's an age thing or like that my brain has aged in a way where I just can't pick up on it anymore. I think that things have become so simple and in my face, user friendly, that when I have to think about using anything, I actually become frustrated and think that is something I shouldn't even have to use, because why do I have to learn how to use it when it should just be catered to me so it's usable? You get me?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like, why should I have to learn how to do something when whoever made it for me should have made it so I just turn it on and it works? And that's what I feel, and I find myself doing that. Like the other day, Lynn's laptop fucking just wouldn't boot up. It just dead, like it would not boot up. So I had to watch a YouTube video on how to figure out how to fix this shit. Now, when I finally started watching the video and doing it and watching the video, I was like, oh yeah, I fixed this before when I was younger, like, and I used to know like the command code and how to get into the command and do this and like reg edit and all this shit. But I'm like, I haven't touched reg edits in fucking like junior year in high school after I got a Mac. Like, I've never dig that deep into code or to fucking figure shit out because I never had to again. So now it's like, if you give me a Windows computer and I gotta learn how to, like, the intricacies or, like, really delve into the control panel, fuck that.
Okay, so
like, why doesn't this shit just work?
So now I'm hearing that it's really that the knowledge that you need to do some of the things you want to do exists in and you're not in the orbit of that type of the technology and the vernacular and all that stuff. You've gone a different path. You're doing other things with your time besides surrounding yourself with these things.
But I think too, it's because I've entered. I've allowed myself to fully embrace the Apple iOS. What do they call it? The iOS hub or the iOS? I can't think of the word right now. Fuck.
The operating system?
Yeah, but like you know, like that. I guess that bubble.
Ecosystem.
That bubble. That ecosystem. Thank you. I've entered that ecosystem where everything is just so simple and user friendly and plug and play.
But
I actually find things that I have to figure out bothersome.
So I think what I'm trying to get at and what I'm trying to examine is how much of that you're gravitating towards the simplicity of it has to do with you aging. Is it because naturally as you get older you want these things to be simpler, or is it just that it's simpler, then I'm just going to naturally gravitate towards that no matter what age I'm at?
You know what? Maybe
I blew your mind.
well, because I'm trying to examine myself and think about it. Because I remember, let's put it like this: the iPhone came out in what? We graduated 2002, so wait, wasn't that 2000, 2009? So 2007, 2008, something around that time.
That sounds right. Yeah.
All right. So before that, from 2002 to 2007, I went from having a flip phone to then a walkie-talkie phone, to then my first Windows phone, and then from a Windows phone, from a Palm Pilot phone, like the BlackBerry type phone, to then the iPhone.
You had that many phones before you had an iPhone?
Oh yeah, because I was all you know how I am. I was a gadgety type person. I always wanted the latest phone that had more stuff to it.
I didn't think even that many phones existed before.
Oh yeah, I remember probably the phone that I had the longest was that Nextel walkie-talkie phone.
I do vaguely remember that.
Yeah, I had that for a long time. So I remember I used to really fuck around with my phones and figure it out, and just because I enjoyed doing those type of things, like gadgety wise.
Right.
And when I got the iPhone, I even dug deep into the iPhone. Even you didn't have to, but I dug deeper into the iPhone than what a normal user would, right? Just to learn all the different things, all the different features or whatever. And I used to religiously watch those developer conferences when they would announce what the latest iOS did or what the latest phone did, to learn all the features. I think I can't even blame it on Amber. I want to say maybe since I moved in with Lynn that I just stopped doing that. Like, I don't watch those videos religiously at all. The only thing I know feature-wise on a new phone, like if I were to get the iPhone 10 tomorrow, the only features I know are the ones that I've seen in the commercials. I don't really know anything else that deep into it. And if I got it, I guess I would figure it out if I needed that feature. But it used to be a thing where when you got a new phone and you didn't know what features it had, you would figure it out and then you would incorporate those features into your life if you needed to or if you found it interesting enough. Now, I could probably get an iPhone 10 and just use it for whatever features I already know exist and then be pleasantly surprised if someone taught me a new feature.
Right.
But that's what I mean. Like, I've now reached a point where I actually am learning things from other people instead of just knowing it, when I used to know things all the time.
And the reason for that, you think, is because you are prioritize something else. So in this case, it started with moving in with Lynn, and then obviously you guys had a child together, and now you're a family together.
Now I don't have fucking time to sit there on my phone trying to play with it all fucking day just to figure out the goddamn features. No, I need to play YouTube on it to shut this child up.
So do you think that was the same reason our parents didn't learn the internet along with us?
No.
You don't think that?
No. I think that definitely our parents didn't learn it because our parents never even learned the computer before it got plugged to the internet. Our parents never had the need to learn the computer because even the workforce at the time was completely antiquated and did not adopt the new age, the new digital standards as fast as things are being adopted now. Now things are being adopted at a much higher pace than they ever were before. In fact, when you go to places and just as simple as having Microsoft Entourage or whatever they use now for email servers, if you don't have an email that is .Rutgers or .your company here, and you don't have that, you are now in the Stone Ages. You should have that by now. And there are plenty of companies that don't, but all of those companies have the same attributes. It's always people who running it are in their the 70s to 50s range. People who work there are everybody there is above the 45 age range, and whenever they hire someone new who is younger, they don't understand why all these things have not been done.
Well, see, but what I'm hearing is that what you're saying is that our parents didn't have this, but I feel like our generation might not have what's new now. So I think it's almost like replacing what.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. There's probably plenty of technological advances. I, for one, have never learned or have even experienced this whole VR boom that's been happening lately.
Ah.
You know how you know how like even Samsung came out with those goggles or whatever
Yeah.
to put on, and just that. I feel like I've seen the very, very early versions of that, but what it is today, I have not experienced it.
Virtual reality is fucking cool, man. You should try it.
It probably is. I mean, even for video games.
Yeah.
Even video games alone, because my priorities in life have changed, and I really have. And it's funny because I guess I do still have time for video games, but the want is nowhere near what it used to be.
Right.
So even technologically speaking, I don't even understand what the new systems do, what they're capable of, and I don't. Like, I used to keep up. Like, the latest system I have right now is the PS3. I know that I have, what is it? Are we on the Xbox One now?
Yeah, Xbox One X.
Okay, so forget Xbox One X. I know I have an Xbox One that my brother has, because I don't even use it.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't even physically have it here.
Because, like, okay, so I still play video games. I don't have kids, so I have... My free time is mine.
Exactly.
But the games I like are generally the kind of games I always like. It took me a long time to learn how to play modern games. And even then, I still have a preference for the kind of games I grew up on, like 2D side-scrollers, and, Nintendo is still my favorite company. And I wonder if that has to do with that's just what I like, or is it because that's the kind of stuff I liked in my formative years? I feel like there's a period of time in our lives between like 9 and 16 where the things that we enjoy, the things that we take in, influence everything that's going to be interesting to us for the rest of our lives. And
I think that's true because I don't, like my little cousins, I don't understand how they can lose the same amount of time I used to lose myself playing an RPG.
Right.
They lose themselves playing games like Minecraft, and I just think that they are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, okay, so you're telling me this game has no beginning, no ending, and all you're going to do all day long is get supplies, work for your supplies, and then use those supplies to build something that still looks like a fucking 2D but 3D block of bullshit.
Yeah, and if Minecraft had come out when you were 13 and it was the hot thing that everyone was playing, how much of it is you genuinely like it, and how much of it is this is the time of your life that that this is happening?
But I guess what bothers me, you're right in what you just said, but I think it even bothers me because technically, just if you told 10-year-old me, bro, there's a video game out there where you're basically playing with Legos on the TV.
Right.
And you have unlimited Legos. I would have fucking shit myself and thought, oh my God, I need to play this.
Yeah.
Because even growing up, like, I loved building and creating all these worlds and, like, creating these stories for myself or whatever, right? So you would think that when I heard about Minecraft that I would have been one of the first ones to jump on it. But then again, I realized I realized Final Fantasy after 10-2 was 13 was the RPG was the MMO, right?
No, 14 was the MMO. 11 and 14.
No, 11 was the MMO.
Yeah, 11 and 14 are both MMOs.
11 and then 10 to 12. Okay, Final Fantasy. I know I own Final Fantasy 12. I've never played Final Fantasy 12. And then I know I own 13 too. I've never played it. So I realized that time, and we're talking still very far away from me having kids, I just completely lost interest in playing video games as much as I used to.
Right.
And the direct correlation that I find for that is not only getting older and my interests broadening to different things, but what really took my time away from games was the new golden age of TV. TV and watching movies on demand and just watching TV in general. Before Netflix, I used to download all these fucking seasons of Lost and etc. All these fucking TV shows where I just didn't realize the TV was this amazing, and I just whatever free time I had was watching TV shows.
Yeah, so once Breaking Bad was invented, you had no chance of ever going back.
Oh no, I didn't. and even now, it's to the point where it's crippling. I can't even watch it. Like my fucking Netflix queue right now is completely unsustainable. It's unsustainable. I should get rid of Netflix and just never look at it again, because there's no way I'm going to be able to catch up on any of it.
No, you can't do that because I need your Netflix code. You need to keep Netflix just for me.
You need it. My mother needs it. Everybody needs it.
Yeah, if we take you out of the equation, so many people are just lost.
If you notice at the user accounts, my brother actually at one point changed the kids section to Vale and Julie, and then I changed it back to no, fuck you. This is Burgos kids.
I did see that today, actually.
Yeah, I changed it to Burgos kids.
So I want to go back.
I'm almost positive that I've had Netflix for such a long time that there are probably ex-girlfriends of mine that still have my logins and use it, and I don't even know that they're using it.
Once a year, you should like clear it out and have a new password.
I really should, because I just don't. And actually, at one point I did, and then I went back to my old password. Because it confused my mother so badly that I said, fuck this. I'm just going back to the old password.
So I want to talk a little bit about just getting older in general, and just what the effects are on us. Well, for me, I work as a substitute teacher. I work with kids all the time, between 6th grade and 12th grade. And there was a time where I felt like I never wanted to leave school, because it was like a comfortable like place to be. When I was about 23, I got a job as a senior portraits photographer, which inside schools, and I would go to schools to take portraits of students. And every once in a while, a teacher would stop me and be like, "Hey, where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not a student here. I'm actually working here." So I had such a youthful appearance about me that they thought I was a student. And I used to kind of go around these schools and fantasize about being a student here, because I was only 23. I wasn't that far removed from high school. It was only, about 5 or so years.
So you were able to assimilate.
Yeah. So I would be like, I can imagine like, oh man, what if I grew up here and I could, walk down these halls and this would be my class and stuff like that. Just playing a fantasy in my head. Mm-hmm. Now, when I go to these schools, I go to the same school to substitute teach, and it's just a foreign world to me. Like I don't really fantasize about that anymore, because especially when I talk to the kids and we engage in conversation, I am not at all in tune with whatever they're into now. Like before,
Any examples?
Like right now, the biggest thing in the world is Fortnite. And that's
and I don't even understand what it is. I would probably really like it if I got into it, maybe. Well, but then again, I don't know. My willingness to play video games is just not there.
Yeah, I mean, I still play video games. I play a lot of modern video games still, and Fortnite baffles me, because not only are people the major element of Fortnite is the streaming aspect of it, and this is the part of video games that truly befuddles me.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I don't
fucking get it.
I was obsessed with speedrunning about 10 years. I still really enjoy speedrunning. So the only time I like watching people play video games is if they're like the best at it, if they're incredibly talented at it, and if they're explaining it as they do it, like they're explaining why a glitch works, or they're explaining a certain technique that they've done that's extremely hard to master, but they explain it, and that's the only way I like playing games. Most kids take a lot of enjoyment just watching anybody play games. They don't even have to be particularly entertaining. Like, there's some video game streamers that are really funny, like they play games and they're awful at it and they make jokes, and I can understand why that's funny. But the people are watching streaming are just like Nobody's, just people playing, and sometimes it's their friends, and they're not doing anything remarkable. Like the kids in my school, when they're on their phones and they're watching streamers, they're just mindlessly like a zombie, just watching another person play a video game, and there's nothing interesting about it. They're not particularly good. They're not offering interesting commentary. They just prefer watching other people play video games than themselves play video games.
So the only time that I did anything close to that was there was a time when we were obsessed with Halo.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to watch on YouTube videos of, I don't even understand how they recorded themselves playing back then. But they recorded themselves playing Halo 1 or Halo 2, playing the game, and it was strictly because it was a really ridiculous, like, kill.
Yeah.
Or it was, again, like you explained, trying to see how certain glitches work so I could abuse that playing it later on myself, right? So I could learn how to do that. But I feel like this whole live streaming and people watching video games blew up. It definitely came about with the last two systems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because none of the systems incorporated Twitch or anything close to that until the 1 and the 4.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation 4 has a button on it that just says share.
Exactly.
And it's just people make up their Twitch accounts and they just play games all day and just have other people watch it and comment on them, and I don't get it.
This is how I know I've gotten old too, because I'm talking about Twitch like I know what Twitch is, but I've never even logged on to Twitch. I don't have a Twitch account. I know enough about Twitch because I have gathered enough little pieces here and there to realize that this is what Twitch is for.
Right.
That you can, and it's funny because it's almost like the AOL, what the AOL chat used to be, but overlaid on a video of me watching the person playing the game.
And I don't understand why that's fun for the gamer. Like when I play a game, I'm getting into it and I'm thinking to myself, I'm in my own little world, and sometimes if someone wants to talk to me, it's like, okay, shut up for a sec. Like, let me do this part. Let me concentrate and let me do this, and then I'll talk to you. Then I can re-engage with you because my mind is on this thing. I don't understand how people can sit down and play a game for 12 hours while also trying to entertain an audience by engaging with commentary and whatever. Like, how is that fun for the video gamer?
And it's a truly generational thing because forget about it even starts before kids start playing video games. I know I have little cousins that watch videos of other kids opening toys.
Yes.
Opening brand new toys and playing with those toys. And we're not talking about like some sophisticated kid who's giving you a review on the toy, showing you all the latest features of the toy. It's a fucking bobo-ass fucking kid that is in reality, half of the people watching it are probably fucking child predators that you want to watch a kid play with a toy. All right? So let's be honest about this. All the fucking parents who have YouTube videos and are making money off of their kids who are just playing with their toys, you're basically providing free child porn for a bunch of fucking pedophiles out there.
What a leap! What a leap you just made there.
It's not a leap. Let's be honest here. Besides a bunch of fucking kids watching it because they're idiots, it's a bunch of fucking dirty ass people who are watching it as well. We're like, yeah, play with that toy. Yeah. All right. It's fucking weird, my friend. But I mean, I guess mommy and daddy are getting that YouTube check, so they don't give a fuck. But anyway, I digress. But there are kids nowadays who, before they even start playing video games, are watching YouTube. Like, I found Amber the other day. So we give Amber the YouTube whenever, like, if I'm cooking and I need her to just let me cook, I'll turn on YouTube on the TV for her, right? Mm. When it's playing on the TV for her, she has no control. It just queues up the next video, or it's whatever I have chosen to show her, which is usually something about nursery rhymes or ABCs or colors or whatever that shit is, right? But when we are in public and, like, we're at dinner or she's really being fussy or she's in the car and she's going crazy, we give her it on our phone, and that's when she has control. And some of the shit that this girl watches, number one, I don't even understand how she got to it, but then it just makes zero sense. So if she has gotten from watching the nursery rhymes that she would normally watch in the house to then watching just clips of movies that she already owns, where she just watches random clips of a movie that she likes. And then it goes from like that to watching someone opening Easter eggs, right? And inside that Easter egg is a different toy. Like the little toys that you could get at remember the 25-cent, like, fucking, in the supermarket, you get all these little figures or whatever?
Yeah.
For like 50 cents. So it's like that. So it's literally a kid just sitting there with an Easter egg, and they open it, and that's the toy that they get. And they just do that over and over again.
Well, you know, the number one most viewed video on YouTube is an unboxing marathon. It's literally someone with a lot of these mystery box toys, and inside the toys are just really cheap, you know, like Batman in an RC car kind of, you know, bullshit. But the number one most viewed video on YouTube is someone doing that for 3 hours, just opening boxes and just be like, oh, look, it's a frog, you know, or oh, look, it's Superman.
And I know that it's hard for us as adults to try to put ourselves in our childlike states when we were younger and try to imagine how we would have reacted to this type of stuff. I just do not see any shape, way, or form in this world that I would lose myself watching other kids open. If anything, I would think that it was like torture porn of making me watch another kid have a toy that I don't have.
I feel like this generation engages very much in an empathy way, an empathetic way with other experiences. Like if someone else climbed Mount Everest and they recorded it, it's almost like they climbed Mount Everest with them.
That's fucking scary.
Yeah, and I think that's how they're engaging, and that's how they're creating experiences for themselves. And a less cynical way of looking at it is they don't have, you know, because every generation that precedes the next one is, you know, they're fucked, right? Like our generation is fucked, and then the next generation's fucked. So I think having the internet has actually made it better for them, because now they can actually do these things and see other countries and do other things without actually having to do it virtually. You know, I think that's what's happening with the next generation. And you and I are still of the generation of, well, we have the internet, but there's also the real world outside the internet. And I think this generation is just it's become one. It's a synergy. It's the real world is the internet.
They're so plugged in that they don't know any other life without it.
And I don't want to judge them for that. I don't want to speak to it as if it's a negative thing. It has.
I mean, it's a positive thing also in the sense, like, I don't want to get all political, but just as an example, like you see those kids who went through the shooting in Florida,
right?
And you see how they've blown up and have created platforms for themselves on Twitter or whatever. But what's amazing to me about them is that they are constantly online bullied and trolled to the nth degree that normal people never experience. But they are able to let it roll off their shoulders and even have really good comebacks. And it's not because they're savvy. It's not because they're just smart kids and realize that it's just a troll. It's because they've already gone through this in their normal everyday life, just living as a child now.
Yeah, you're right.
Because nowadays these kids are attacking each other and going crazy with all of this online trolling and bullying, that they actually have their own arsenal and their own way of talking about these things, that it just rolls off their back. They don't need, people actually have to go through PR training for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And these kids grew up with it. It was a part of their everyday life. Like, it's just like what Bane says, like, what's the line? You know what I'm talking about. Like, you just merely adopted the darkness. I was born into it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but now you gotta do it in the Bane voice. You gotta do it in the Bane voice.
They didn't adopt trolling. They were born into this. So they naturally know how to do this.
Yeah.
So, like, and I think about it, like, so this is the kind of world that Amber's going to grow up in. So, for example, when we're going back to the Twitch thing, So nowadays, you can buy a fucking $600 system, and half of the kids that have this $600 system are not even fucking playing the game. On their $600 system, they're watching someone else play the fucking game on Twitch when they could do the same shit on their computer. Like, so if one day I go and I see Amber playing on Twitch and she's just watching someone else play the video games, I'm gonna fucking hit her. Because why the fuck did I just spend $600 for you to watch someone else play the game when you could be playing it? I'm gonna be so pissed off.
But like, what is it? Is it a bad thing? Because not everyone is good at these games. Not everyone can play them, but this is a way for them to experience it and to feel connected to it. And on top of, and when people play these games, there's usually like a chat. So there's also like a social community aspect to it, where you're like, you're fans of this one streamer, and now you encourage. It's like being a fan of a sports team, right? It's the same exact thing. You're watching other people play, and you feel like you helped them win because you cheered for them, when in reality you didn't do jack shit. It's the same thing.
And that's really where the natural progression of this came. When esports started blowing up and people could watch these video games in real time with these tournaments or whatever, at least they were real stakes then.
Yeah.
At least you were watching someone who was at the pinnacle of this game. They were that great. They made it this far. They're in Las Vegas, and they're playing this game to win an award or whatever, win money. But now it just turned into like, okay, I like doing this so much that now I'm just going to watch the average Joe Schmo play this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that I get disconnected also. Just I want to see the exceptional people play. I don't want to spend time watching the average person play.
Exactly. I'm trying to watch you parry every single attack and then fuck someone else.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about how we feel disconnected and whatnot, and it doesn't interest us. But what are the positive aspects of getting older? Because I feel as I get older, I become wiser. I learn from my mistakes, and I become a better, more rounded person. I feel I'm a way better person now than I was when I was 16, for example. So obviously I miss having, a healthy body and having, my whole world ahead of me. And
unlimited energy.
Yeah. Like I miss the health aspects of it. But in terms of my mind and in terms of my spirit and who I am, I feel much more comfortable in my skin now that I'm 34 than when I was 14. Go ahead.
I mean, you're right. Like, definitely the biggest thing about getting older is really, I don't want to say that it's a point where you're just saying fuck it and you just accept things about yourself. It really is. It's just maturity.
Yeah.
It really is reaching this point of maturity when you realize things that were important was actually bullshit.
Yes.
In the past, and whatever used to bother you, you realize were your own constructs that you have created. You let these things bother you, but in reality, they don't have to. There used to be things like there used to be a point when you were younger when you actually cared what other people thought about you.
Right. Yeah.
And it used to really plague you and bother you to your core, or at least it did for me. And then you realize, I don't give a fuck if I'm walking outside with no shirt on with my fat belly out and in flip-flops. I'll even go to fucking Walmart like this right now. I don't give a fuck. I need to get my shit done. Like, it's just, I don't know, you just reach this point. It's not the I don't give a fuck or giving up. It really is just finally reaching this type of maturity where you're like, other people's opinions and what other people think about me do have zero effect on my actual life. So the only thing I'm going to care about is for people who are actually in my life and that it affects them or me in a way.
Yeah,
you get me?
I think as you get older, I think another way to phrase it is you consolidate what your priorities are.
That's the best part about it. I mean, that's why I don't play video games anymore. I had to consolidate some of my priorities and realize this is not important. I need to move on.
Yeah, and going back to what you were talking about with not caring what other people think. I mean, when I feel like when I was 19, the idea was make as many friends as possible. Like you have to make everybody, and in order to do that, you have to make everybody like you. And you had so that means you had to always be on. You always had to be funny. You always had to be positive, and you always had to, exert this kind of friendly persona. And as I got older, I realized, why am I putting forth this effort? Like, there's some people that the effort was worth it because they actually brought about meaningful impact in my life, and I actually care about them. But there were so many people that I don't care about, and I would kill myself trying to please them and trying to, make them like me and try to be their friend. And as I get older, I don't mind pruning my friends list, just so I have just the people I want to focus on, and not have the people that don't matter to me anymore.
Well, you even posted something on Facebook recently about this. I think I saw it today.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking.
There's all these people that you know on Facebook that you actually had genuine, really good relationships with, or at least more than just superficial interest in.
Yeah, and I have warm memories about them. Is what I said.
Yeah, exactly. You see them online. You see the green light next to their name, and you will never PM them.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying this now, because I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, one of my biggest one of the things that interests me the most in general is our memories and lost memories. Like, there's so many nights I had where I was, let's say, with a girl, a girlfriend, where we it was just one of those perfect nights, right? Like, everything was just perfect. It was magical, whatever. And then here we are 10 years later. I don't even talk to that bitch anymore, And it's just,
dude,
it's fascinating to me how these kind of moments just cease to exist. They don't even matter anymore. And I'm getting comfortable with letting things become memories now. But it was before, I wanted to hold on to everything. If there was someone that was important to me in any moment of my life, whether they were a friend, a girlfriend, a mentor, anything, I wanted to hold on to that relationship so strongly, even though it's outlived its usefulness, even though I have no need for that relationship anymore. It's unhealthy to fixate on an ex-girlfriend when the reason the relationship didn't work out, there's a reason that it fizzled. There's a reason why you two are not connected anymmer. But if you're still focused on, wow, that one night where everything was perfect, then you're never going to grow as a person. You're always going to be regressive in the way you approach things.
You know what's funny? I have a version of what you're talking about. So, you know how you say that you always used to fight to at least keep that person in your life in some shape, way, or form?
Right.
Because it was almost like a collection of people, so you wanted to keep that collection. I feel like I always did that with the pictures that I have on my computer in my life. I was looking through my Amazon photos, and I realized I have over 50K of pictures in total.
Shit.
Since I started taking pictures. Remember with the old DV cameras?
Yeah.
You could take a photo. I have photos dating back as early as that. And I can literally watch and relive my life from that moment. Watch and remember things about those specific relationships with people.
Yeah.
And just see life to what it is now. It was funny. Just one night, I just kind of did that. I just went through the timeline, just looking at everything. I was like, wow. But then at the same time, I was thinking, I have way too many fucking pictures of people who are technically no longer in my life at all,
and
have zero substance in my life. So I think to myself, am I keeping this because I want to reminisce about that person and that point in my life? Or am I keeping it for the actual reason that I say that I am, that I just like documentation and I like being able to show you what my life was like at that point of time?
Recently,
and I don't know what the actual answer is to that.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, recently, do you remember in high school, they would give us these agendas, and and it has like a calendar in it, and it has all these tips about how to study and all this stuff. Like in high school, they would give you this in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it was always in that book.
Yeah, so do you remember I had an agenda that I would always draw stupid cartoons in, and I would have other people draw things and just...
You would do it every year.
Yeah, and it just had these stupid jokes. I found my senior agenda while I was cleaning out my basement recently.
Okay.
And it was totally a time travel moment for me because there was things in there, and I would ask someone, I was like, add something to the agenda, and as I was looking at something they drew or something they wrote, I was like time traveling to high school, and I remembered the exact classroom and the exact moment I asked that person to do that.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy, but like part of me was, and as I was cleaning my basement, I actually was thinking about throwing it away because I was looking at these memories and I was thinking about the people that did it and these people that aren't in my life anymore. A lot of these people also have a lot of painful memories associated with them.
Yes.
And I think there was a time in my life where I would be like, I want to remember everything, including the pain, because I don't want to lose any memories. But there was
because it made you who you are.
Right. And now but the thing is, now I look at it and I'm just thinking, why am I holding on to the painful memories? Why am I holding on even to the good memories? Why does it matter that I remember this?
Especially when you're creating new memories every day. So what does it matter?
Yeah.
In reality.
Like all that matters to me in my life right now is my wife, my sister-in-law, and and some of my close friends. Like these are the only things that matter to me. Period. And my art and my writing, things like this. This is all that matters to me. So why do I need this memory of someone I'm not even friends with anymore? What benefit is that to me? What does it add to my present experience? And you can argue both ways, but ultimately, I fall on this. I'm starting to fall on the side of it's not worth holding on to these memories.
Do you think that some of it might even be, especially when you think about the people who, let's say the memories of people who have hurt you, do you think that it might be sometimes a validation type thing? Like, for example, I'll use me as an example. There are memories and there are things, especially with the pictures. When I think about the pictures in particular, when I was going through that timeline and I was remembering things, there were certain people that I was like, why do I still have pictures of this person when they did X, Y, and Z that hurt me and bothered me? And am I keeping this because I want to remember the good and the bad, or am I keeping this because I need this to continue my validation of why that person is no longer in my life?
Don't you think it would be easier just to delete the photos and then not think about them ever? Would that be better for you?
And when you think about it, I hadn't thought about that person until I saw their picture.
Right.
So in reality, I did kind of reach that point where they are truly not even a speck of a thought until I force that memory on myself.
And all those memories all the emotions come back too, right?
Yes, they do. So then if I don't necessarily care enough to even continue, for lack of a better word, hate that person, why am I even keeping the picture as a memory?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I mean, and the thing is, when I put that post on Facebook, I was specifically talking about people that I went to high school with that I only had good memories of. Like, these are people I only knew because we had some classes together and we made each other laugh. And, I never got to know them on a really deep personal level or anything like that. I only have positive memories associated with them. And yet I'm not particularly interested in reconnecting with them. Like, if they would message me and they wanted to strike up a conversation, of course I would reciprocate and I would engage them and I would, be happy to talk to them and whatnot. But at the same time, I almost kind of want to delete these people because I don't even feel like thinking about them anymore. I don't even want to remember them.
I see you and me are different in that point too, where I have noticed myself. I don't know, Fred. I don't know if it's laziness.
Oh, it's laziness. I know you. You are lazy.
I don't know if it's laziness, prioritization, or what have you. But I have even found myself no longer having the energy to even continue conversations via instant messaging with people that I truly love and care about. It's almost like if you're not in front of me and we're not having this actual conversation, it's not even important to me.
Yeah.
Right now, and I don't know if it's prioritization because, like, I got shit that I got to get done, but at the same time, when I think to myself, like I'll notice that I will have ignored a message on my phone for maybe even 2 days, and I'll finally reply, and I'll reply because I'll think to myself, in the past 2 days, I had millions of times that I really could have responded,
right?
And I just purposely chose not to, and I guilt myself to finally respond. And I don't understand why I have reached that point. And it's not like I care less about the person. It's not that I don't find the conversation, how do you call it?
Stimulating?
Enticing or stimulating, thank you. It's not even that. Sometimes I just think to myself, like, but you're like, if you were here, we could totally have this conversation,
right?
Like, it'd be like that. But because you're not here and I'm not dealing with you face to face, this is really not even worth my energy. And I can't. I don't understand why I'm doing it, and at the same time, I don't think I'm really understanding how fucked up that is too. Does that make sense to you?
No, yeah, absolutely. I feel guilty because when I'm at work, and I have some downtime, I put Facebook on, and I message people that I feel like chatting with, people that are actually still in my life, and I care to talk to them, and that's when I sometimes look at people's names that I also have more memories, and I'm just thinking I don't feel like talking to them ever. Like I have nothing to say to these people.
I think I keep those people at least in my Facebook. I remember in the MySpace days, it literally was just collecting people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And making sure that you had a certain number of friends. Or remember how big MySpace used to have that thing where you had like your top 8 friends?
Oh yeah, that was totally a passive aggressive way to tell someone that
100%.
That they were important to you, or they stopped being important to you. Like the drama that would ensue from you moving someone from the top spot or off the top 8 entirely.
This is a novella that our children in the new generation will never understand. They will never understand the drama that MySpace used to bring.
I think it's moved. I think whatever Instagram is, it's the same. I think that the kids nowadays, if they post something on Twitter, and they'll see who hearted it, right? And then if they see that one person,
you didn't like my picture,
right? And I think that's the type of shit they fight about now. I think every generation has that same insecurity about validation that will always lead to drama when they don't get it from the people they care about, when they don't get that validation from the people they care about. I think that's always going to happen, whether it's Instagram, Facebook.
You're right.
Like even now on Facebook, I post something, and I'm like, okay, these are the same 9 people that always like my posts, and then if I see someone that's unusual in there, I'm thinking, what did I say this time that made them like this post? That they didn't like the other ones, or why didn't this asshole like my post, and it's obviously that's not important. I'm not actually mad at them, but there's still that little bit inside that's like, why didn't this motherfucker like my post? Like, I know he was online, I know he saw it,
like, I have even experienced that in group chats in iMessage, where if I feel like I said something particularly clever, if someone doesn't like it in the chat, I'm like, what the fuck, bro? I'm like, I know you saw that. You should have liked that shit.
Yeah, I mean, we're all just these balls of insecurities that constantly need validation from people. We have so many wants and needs.
But even as you're thinking, you're like, this is fucking stupid. So like you brush it off.
Right.
But just, again, like just imagine how much that would have, how that could have possibly ruined our day.
Right.
When we were teenagers.
Right.
When we were teenagers, that would have ruined our day. Like, yo, bro, why didn't you like that?
It ruins my day now because it bothers me that it bothers me. Like.
So it's ruining your day on even more. Psychological.
Yeah, it's like, why do I care? Like, they have their lives. They don't have time to like all my bullshit, you know?
See, for me, it doesn't bother me when people, especially because I realize I don't post musings anymore.
Right.
At all. Most of my shit is usually articles or bullshit. Like, it's nowhere near musings anymore.
Yeah.
But, I realized that I keep the people as my friends on Facebook that have this. I really even though I like them as a person and I have warm memories about them, I really have zero connection now with. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason I should even have them on Facebook. But for some reason, it's almost like this window where I get to see things that they post, and I keep it there just because, even though I really don't give a fuck about you at all, I like the brief moments where I see, oh, that's great. I'm glad you're having a good life as well.
Right.
And even though I could care less about the thing that is making their life great or good, like for example, let's what the hell is this guy's last name? The guy who's married to Jennifer Silva.
Oh, Carlos Ramos.
Carlos Ramos. I couldn't fucking remember his last name. So Carlos Ramos. He was always this type of individual who was able to mix well with amongst every single group in the high school.
Right.
He was just a very nice dude. Most of the conversation you would have him would be completely superficial and funny, and it would never really be that deep unless you were really, really his friend.
Right.
But he was always a really cool dude. So whenever I see him post anything about his family, his kids, or whatever, or just the fact that he's going to work, I just think to myself, like, there is a dude who I liked in high school who was nice, and I'm just glad that nice things are still continuing to happen to his life.
Yeah.
But I don't give a fuck that you went to the Knicks game.
Right.
But I'm glad you were able to go.
So for you,
does that make sense?
Yeah. For you, it's not the specifics of what he's doing. It's the general vibe of like, okay, he's doing well, he's happy, and this is, he has a daughter. That's his life right now. But you don't actually care that they went to go see, I don't know, Despicable Me 3 or whatever. Like, that doesn't matter to you.
No, exactly. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. But I'm just glad that he is having a good life. You know? But then I think to myself, too, is like, but why?
Yeah.
Like, why do I, like, if I really have zero connection with him and we have no reason to even talk, why do I even need to have this window into his life to know that he's having a nice life?
He's one of those people. When we were in elementary school together, me and him got along great because we were both like the funny kids in class, and so we had that connection. But somewhere between like 5th and 6th grade, we just never talked to each other again. Really, nothing. And we're friends on Facebook, and I see him on there, and I feel like this is someone I could talk to, but I don't think I have anything in common with him. What could I say to him?
I don't think anything either. I don't think I really have anything. I just remember being very invested. I remember telling him and Jennifer, "You two need to get together."
When they got together,
him and her about it all the time. And when they did get together, and I finally noticed it on Facebook, I remember being as happy for them that they were finally together, the same way like people were happy when Ross and Rachel were finally together. You get me?
Yeah.
I remember being that ecstatic, even though I was completely removed from the situation. I remember just thinking, oh my God, the two people who I knew were perfect for each other are together and love is real.
It's funny, when they got together, I just felt like these are two worlds that shouldn't be together, because I I only knew Carlos in elementary school. I only knew Jennifer in high school, and never did I think they would meet. And then I'm like, huh, they're together? Like I've never seen them together ever. You know?
I used to bother Jennifer about him all the time.
Wow.
Because they were complete butt buddies in high school.
Is that true?
They were
were
complete butt buddies, and I wasn't even particularly that cool with Jennifer,
right.
but I had enough classes with her and lunch where I would see their interactions, and even though he was dating someone else, she was dating someone else, like whenever you saw their interaction, you could just see it. You could just see this like connection that they didn't realize themselves. And maybe I was obsessed with it because I was always in the friend zone. So if they got together, it gave all my friend zone relationships a chance. But I just remember always, like, I remember telling them, like, you guys are going to end up together, or why don't you fucking guys just date already?
Right.
Like, you're killing me already. Like, you guys are perfect for each other. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they found each other and that they have such wonderful lives. But I struggle to come up with an actual justifiable reason why I continue to be Facebook friends with either of them when I cannot imagine a scenario in my life where I will ever talk to them again in any meaningful capacity.
Okay, and then let me explain to you. It's funny because this is going to be posted, and I feel like I should start redacting names. Okay, I'm going to redact names for this one. But there is a person that we went to high school with who I knew him in high school. He wasn't a bad person, and I wasn't cool with him at all.
Right.
But he was nice. He actually almost seemed to me like in my head, I always imagined him that he would be he was the typical white dork that the cool kids adopted. Okay. And he was just cool because they adopted him.
Is this me?
But in reality, he really was a dork, and I never understood why the cool kids adopted him, right?
So I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay, I think you know too. Okay, so I'm friends with him on Facebook, and here's the reverse of the Carlos example. This guy does nothing but post such. I don't want to say that he is depressive, but he never posts anything positive.
Right.
All he ever posts are political things and how he never finds the right girl. He's always seen as a friend. No one likes him. Even his career, even though he loves his job, he still complains about his job, and he complains about how he never finds love. And he's always complaining.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And there is a prime example of someone who when I say I probably had 2 conversations with.
Right.
I probably had it with this man. And probably the only reasons we're friends is because he sent me a friend request because we went to the same high school.
Right.
But for some reason, I keep him in my life, and the same reason, like I have a window, and in this window, I just see his misery. And
how does that benefit you? What does that do for you?
It doesn't bring me glee at all.
Right.
It doesn't bring me glee. It doesn't make me happy. But it does, like, I almost think to myself, like, why are you so unhappy? Mm-hmm. And why are you constantly complaining about the same things online? Like, are you looking for empathy? Do you want me to just say, like, oh, don't worry, it'll be okay. You'll find your girl one day.
Right.
Like, what? Like, why is? And I almost keep it, and then I think to myself, oh my God, am I keeping this window visible to me because I used to be him in a sense, and it makes me even more thankful for what I have.
Oh, jeez.
and I don't necessarily, like I said, this is all an over examination in my head of trying to figure out why I keep that window open. Like, because in reality, like, at least with the Carlos window, I at least liked him well, we weren't friends, but we had niceties.
Right.
I can remember memories of niceties. This person, I can't even remember 2 conversations with. So why do I keep that window open? And it's funny because I know you know who I'm talking about. Because I bet you everyone thinks the same thing about him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like there was a period where I collected a lot of Facebook friends, and then gradually I deleted some of them. Mm-hmm. So now I have a good stable of people that I don't have problems with. You know, that's different from people that I care about and people I need to communicate with. But I got rid of the people I don't care about. And I feel like now that I'm a little older, I even want to get rid of the people that are good people that I have no problems with. But because they have no impact in my life, I want to get rid of them. And that would leave my Facebook with like maybe 20 people tops, you know?
I use Facebook for so many other reasons than you that I actually like I'm like you in the sense that I want to start dwindling down like you're describing. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there are people that are on my Facebook that are strictly because we have a shared interest,
right?
Like in bourbon that I've never met, will probably never meet, but I keep them because I keep them around because their posts. It's funny because there's this online world where the fact that you're friends with certain people help validate you and keep your rep up in the group.
Right.
And it's not even like a popularity thing. It's more of like, okay, this person is trustworthy because this person is friends with X, Y, and Z. So if I'm going to make a sale or buy something, because I'm friends with X, Y, and Z, you know I'm trustworthy.
Yeah,
and so it's mutually beneficial that people become friends with each other on Facebook who are known to be good sellers and traders. So because I dabble in this online bourbon world where people trade and sell constantly, like I don't get rid of those people because they help my rep. You get me?
Yeah.
They help my rep in that sense. So I see their musings sometimes, and most of it I only see their bourbon posts, so it's fine. I like seeing bottles and stuff I don't have anyway.
Well, you know what's funny? I keep my problem right now is I keep making new Facebook friends. I mean, I don't mean to sound like I'm bragging or anything like that, but I very rarely send requests. I almost never do.
People send you requests.
People send me requests because most especially because recently I went back to school and I graduated last year. And it was funny because there was, I remember exactly when it happened. I specifically, when I went to school, I specifically told myself I really didn't feel like making friends. I just wanted to go to class and be friendly with people, but not really be friends. And I started making one friend. Me and her like just kept having classes together. So we started becoming very, very friendly to the point that other people started thinking that we were dating. And I always had to do this thing where whenever I met a new girl at school, where I had to throw in at some point, my wife or I'm married, you know. I always found a way to introduce that early because I just in general I make friends with females easier than males. I find myself. Honestly, I just find myself more comfortable around females than males. Honestly, that's just me. So I gravitate towards females, but every female thinks I'm hitting on them, and I'm not hitting on any of them. I'm very loyal to my wife, and I have no interest in any other women at all.
And it's funny because you don't follow the social norms of having a wedding band.
Yes, that's true.
So easily negates that and helps put up that barrier right away.
On top of which, I'm also a naturally flirty person, but like in a humorous way. I'm not flirting with someone to actually get with them.
Exactly. People who are funny are always get blamed for flirting when in reality they're just being a funny person.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly my situation. So, so me and her were being friends, and one day we were just in class, and she was like, "Do you have a Facebook?" And I was dreading it. I was like, oh, this was inevitable that this was going to happen. And so I was like, yeah, I do.
You could have lied.
And as soon maybe I should have. But I'm actually happy I get to stay in touch with her. But because I befriended her, everyone else saw, oh, she befriended Fred. And mind you, I realized this afterwards because I was so secretive about my personal life. All the people I was taking classes with, because we were in the same program, education and English and everything.
Became obsessed and wanted to fucking cycle through your life.
Yeah, well, apparently they were all always talking about me. Like, they were all like, what do you think? Like I didn't live on campus, obviously, you know, and every time I revealed my age in class for whatever reason, everyone was like, you know, it added, yeah, they were like, what the fuck? I thought he was our age, like that kind of thing. So the group of people I was friends with, like I went to this program with, they all regarded me as like this legend, like this mysterious, like, who is this guy? And as soon as she friended me, like the next day I got like 9 friend requests because they saw Fred has a Facebook and he befriended name redacted. And so they all sent me requests and I was like, fuck, like now they all know that I'm married. Now they know that I'm actually 33 or whatever. And like all the mystique is gone, you know, and I wasn't trying to be mysterious or anything like that. I genuinely, like, I wanted to go to school. I wanted to be friendly with people. I wanted to laugh with them, but I didn't want them involved in my personal life.
See, I used to do that at work.
Yes, I'm like that at work now too.
I always made it, especially because most of the time, if people like my boss and my like people who were on the same level as me, I would, if they send me a friend request, I'd be okay. I would let it into my life.
Yes.
Depending if they weren't from different departments, no. But if they were in department, it was fine. But my underlings, I always made it a point, never ever to allow them into my social media life.
Right.
When I left, I realized that when I left those jobs, and then they would send me friend requests, I don't know. Number one, why I accepted them. Because I didn't care about these people, so why am I accepting them to social media?
Right.
But at that point, I guess you're still just collecting people, so you just confirm.
Right.
And I realized all these people friended me on Facebook just because they finally wanted to see what was behind the curtain.
Yes.
Like they just needed to see. Like they had heard stories. I didn't hide myself in the sense I talked about who I was with. I talked about that I liked whiskey or things like that, but they just never saw it. So it's like these people became obsessed with wanting to see it. Because I remember, like, I remember even seeing likes of pictures I had posted months ago for people that I just added.
Oh yeah, isn't that fun? Isn't that fun when you know someone is deep diving in your Facebook history?
I think, and you're not even that deep in the Instagram world, but Instagram is where it's really funny because you would say dating now is probably so fucking stupid that I don't think I could survive dating now. Right? Because now on Instagram, if you're stalking someone the same way you would on Facebook, you at least really have to hit the like button to like something.
Right.
On Instagram, if you accidentally double tap anywhere in your picture and you're really like going deep into that person's history,
right,
and you just like, why did this person at 2 a.m. in the morning just like something from 2012?
Oh, that's hilarious. That's true.
And it is just like, why am I being stalked by this person right now?
That's hilarious.
So like I've heard stories of like guys like, yeah, when I look at her Facebook or whatever, like I gotta make sure that I'm like scrolling really softly and I don't double tap anywhere because then this bitch is gonna catch me. And I'm just like, and in my head I'm just like, I can't survive. I would not be able to survive dating right now.
Well,
would not.
I have a comment about that, but first I want to say, in the off chance that someone's listening that did friend me through school or whatever, I hope that I didn't insult you by making it seem like I don't appreciate your friendship and your Facebook.
We're just old and we just don't have the time or want anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm great.
The same thing's gonna happen to you.
I am genuinely flattered that you friended me, and the reason I accepted your friend request was not out of obligation. It's because I genuinely liked you, and it does make me happy to see what's going on in your life. So I just want to put that out there in the off chance one of them is listening, and I insulted them. So I would feel truly bad. But yeah. So anyway, but
I genuinely wanted a window into your life.
The comment I wanted to make was you did engage in modern dating in the sense that you did online dating for a while.
That's how I found my wife.
And that's how you found your wife, exactly.
I literally say I used that Aziz Ansari joke where I looked up Asian in a 5-mile radius.
So you're saying that you wouldn't be able to do it today, but I feel like you were in the thick of it.
I was in the thick of it in the sense of I was dating in the online world, I guess in the modern world, but it was nowhere near in. I was still keeping with people who were either my age,
right,
or older than me. Heaven forbid had I been dating someone who was younger than me and then have this person out of nowhere show up liking me on my Facebook and liking my Instagram posts and doing, so I would just be like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, and I I remember I would do a little Facebook stalking myself when I was actually dating the person or had gone on a date with someone.
Right, you have to.
You have to. The person isn't married. I remember, I told you, I remember I went on dates with women who said they weren't married and had no kids, and then I find them on Facebook, and this bitch got 2 kids. Like, bitch, you trying to trap me in here? What the hell?
See, that's an element I never engaged with because when I met my wife, it was online dating was a thing, but it wasn't as big as it is now. Like, there was no Tinder, obviously, or...
Mm-hmm. Oh, I found Lynn. I literally started dating Lynn. Tinder had existed,
right?
But I was maybe 6 months away from it actually becoming a thing. So because I never really experienced the Tinder world.
Yeah, I mean, and the Tinder world is different from what was big when before, which was like eHarmony. Match.com was the big one and stuff like that. And I feel like Tinder is more geared towards just random hookups. Am I wrong about that?
I think it's true. It is geared towards random hookups. But I think that the social norms and how dating is now is that random hookups is the new dating.
Right. Yeah.
Like, gone are the days where, like, you actually fuck someone because you wanted to fuck. Like nowadays, like, you don't even date someone unless you fucked them and you enjoyed it. Like, I remember it used to be where you were dating someone just so you could fuck them.
Right? Yeah. That's the world I came up through, you know?
And you dated this person long enough, and then you fucked, and you realize I didn't like the fucking.
Right.
You were kind of stuck for a while. You needed to find a real valid reason to break up with that person.
Yeah.
That's when you would start a fight for no reason.
There's a comment in so this show I'm absolutely obsessed with. It's called BoJack Horseman, which I absolutely love. There was just without having to give too much context, one character had gone through, like, I want to say 3 or 4 sexual relationships within the last 2 seasons. You know, that's normal on TV. That's on TV. People meet people and have sex with them for the sake of a storyline and stuff like that. But I feel like that's more normal now in today's reality of youth than it was when we were growing up. You know, like
it completely is. You know, it completely is.
And the line of dialogue that really stuck with me of that really drove it home for me was the person was describing the other person, and they said, 3 lovers in 6 months. You really get around, don't you? And then the other person talking about that person said, she's a sexually fluid woman who was comfortable, I forget exactly what the wording is, but basically they said she's not dead and she's enjoying her life. And it was such a non-shaming way to approach this person had a lot of sexual partners. And I feel like that's what being young and dating now is you do acquire a lot of sexual partners because that's your journey to find out what you like. Like, how are you going to know if you even like boys or if you like girls unless you date both, right? Or
It's true.
or how do you know what you like in bed? Like what things do you like unless you date one person, they do one thing, you date another person, they do another thing, compare and contrast, you know? I feel like that's it's going back to the experience thing. I feel like young people have no problem going through these experiences that are more that superficial to find out their identities than we were comfortable. We because all we want to do is get our nut off, right? Or
Pretty much.
Either get well to put in a more a nice term. We were seeking deep and meaningful relationships for the rest of our lives. Right? I mean, some of us were just hooking up randomly, sure, but I felt like that was outside the norm. Whereas I think the norm now is if you're sexually attracted to someone, go get with them, and if you don't like them anymore in the morning, they'll understand, and they do. You know, it's like a secret understanding between them that if you don't call, then they're not interested in you. Whereas in our day, if we didn't call or if they didn't call us, we would obsess about it. It's like, why aren't they calling us back? Like, what the fuck? What didn't she have a good time? You know what I mean?
So, I mean, I get, you know what, I guess I even experienced this a bit myself. So I there's this period in my life where I have always been a serial monogamer.
Right.
I've always jumped from long relationship to long relationship. So there was a point where after one of my long relationships, I was single. Jesus, so that was 2009. I met Lynn in 2013. So what is that? It's like 4 years.
Right.
So there was a period of 4 years that I called my whore years, where and even then, compared to what is the sexual norm now, my whore years were nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Were nothing. Like I hooked up, and I went on dates. I met girls. We would hook up. It would work out or won't, or it would fizzle in some shape, way, or form, right? And it was fine. Like it wasn't. Like I wasn't like obsessed with why that relationship fizzled.
Right.
You get me? It was just I wasn't looking for anything serious to begin with. I just wanted some type of companionship on that night that I chose to have companionship. And I describe it as my whore years, but in reality, what I was doing then is what people are doing now.
Right.
Like they just hang out, they meet, they hang out. You want to fuck? Cool, let's fuck. They fuck.
And that negative connotation doesn't really exist anymore.
It doesn't. Like I remember, I was ahead of the curve when I used to tell one of my friends, like one of my girlfriends, like I would tell her that when I knew what their number was, like other people would gasp at it, and I would just be like, you're just ahead of the curve. You just know what you like,
right?
And you just want to have fun. Like why do you have to care that person X, Y, and Z think you're a whore when in reality they're the ones who have these sexual hangups. You're just fucking having fun and figuring out what you want to do.
Right.
And now you don't even have that conversation anymore. That's just the new norm.
Yeah.
Like I remember it used to be a thing. Like if you met someone and their number was like stupid high, you would even judge them a little.
Right.
Now it's just like, and what's the problem?
Yeah. I mean, I never had whore years, you know. There's only 3 girls I ever had.
You had whore instances.
Yeah, like little flings with that. I didn't have a continuing relationship with them afterwards, and that's nothing compared to. I think that's below the norm before now, and then now it's like you have 3 flings during the weekend, you know.
You got 3 flings in one night.
Yeah, one night. Yeah, I was one of the friends I met in through college. We hung out one night, just the 2 of us, and we were just to chat and whatnot, and reconnect and everything like that. And she was telling me her dating experience now, and she was so casual about the fact that like, oh, you know, tomorrow I'm meeting this guy with Tinder, and then on Friday I'm meeting this other guy, and she was talking about like these sexual experiences. Like, yeah, I had sex with 2 guys last week, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is this world?
I'll never forget how I felt when I double dipped for the first time.
Double dipped.
You double dipped when you fuck two different girls in one night.
See, I've never done that.
See, I remember thinking like that was almost unheard. I remember thinking like, achievement unlocked. Like, you get me? Like, that was an achievement unlocked, and now that's nothing.
Yeah,
that's a normal Friday for some people.
I remember. My record was 3 days of when, and I used to be proud of this, of when I met someone, and then when I hooked up with them, and it was 3 days.
And now it's 3 minutes.
3 minutes. And I don't say this to shame the younger generation. I just think they have it more figured out than we do.
I mean, if anything, it scares me. It scares me how what I'm gonna have to deal with Amber.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Like, she's going to be growing up in a world that is like that free and loose, right?
Right.
And if anything, I'm going to bring in now the hang-ups. I look at people and the way they think about sexuality and the way they view things, like the way my grandparents would see things,
right,
and think that they're dinosaurs. And I don't want to bring that thinking with me into the future, but I know I am.
You can't help it. You grew up with certain values that you cannot shake ever.
You can't change. So it's like, I'm almost thinking like, for example, I know I'm friends with this one girl that I know was completely sexually active her whole life. Forget double digits. This girl's 4 digits, right? And I think to myself, if that was Amber, and I knew this, if she was like open with me and we had that type of relationship, I'm gonna think she's a whore.
Yeah, you can't help it.
But at the same time, I shouldn't, because that's my daughter and her own femininity. I should just be like, do what you want as long as you're being safe,
right?
And you're being careful. Well, figure it out. Do what you want. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to be that comfortable with her where I can be that supportive.
You probably.
I don't want, because what I don't want to happen is where, like, I look at her and think, like, what the fuck are you doing, and shame her in any shape, way, or form.
Right.
I don't want to do that. If anything, I might be one of those parents that when it comes to that subject, maybe I'm going to choose to just don't ask, don't tell. Like,
right.
I don't really want to fucking know.
Yeah, like just you go do what you want to do, but you please don't involve me.
Just for the love of. I mean, I'll say this: for the love of God, I just don't want to catch her. Like, it just like I was never caught, at least by my parents. I was never caught, and any girl I was ever with, we were never caught by their parents. But I can just imagine now. I can just imagine. Like, I don't want to see her sucking dick. I don't want to see some dude. I don't want to see some dude just pile driving her. Like, these are things that I would hope that she has enough thoughtfulness and respect to not let me catch her.
Right. Yeah. They have to understand that there are still boundaries, no matter how free.
Like I'll tell you this much: there will be no, like, I have done enough where if there will be no fucking in my house. If anybody's getting fucked, is me and your mother. That's it. You will never fuck in our house. Like, are you gonna be fucking down the street at the cul-de-sac? Maybe. You're gonna be in the school or in the bathroom or behind the bleachers or at the fucking graveyard. I don't know. You're a freak. You go ahead and do that. But it will never happen. It's not even happening on my lawn. It's not happening in the backyard. It's not happening on my lawn. It will happen when you were at least a 5-mile radius away from my house. Because as soon as you enter this 5-mile radius, this is a no fucking zone.
All right. Well, we talked about dating and how that's changed. So the last topic I think we should touch upon is the future, because right now, for the last 10 years, I guess my life has been in a sort of holding pattern, because the general thing is you get at once you get out of high school or whatever, you either go to college or you go in the workforce, and then you meet someone, and then you get married, and then you have kids, and then you grow old with them, and then you retire, right? That's the general normative thing to do.
Yeah.
My wife and I have chosen not to have kids. So that means the stage of our life that's considered normal. The longest stage was when we got married, and that happened almost 10 years ago for me. So I've been in that holding pattern for a long time.
But why do you describe it as a holding pattern?
I'm only describing it in a holding pattern in the sense of what normal people do, and that's really not
the social norms.
The social norm, yeah. I mean, I don't consider myself in a holding pattern in any sense. I consider myself constantly growing. But in terms of what's the social norms, the next stage of our lives would be retirement, and that is something that I do think I'm already thinking about now. I'm already saving for retirement. Lynn is already saving for retirement. I mean, frankly, we just don't feel like working anymore.
Did you happen to see? So there was an article that came out either last week or this week, I think on Forbes or Bloomberg or something, where it said how much money you should have in the bank at the age of 35 in order to safely say that you are at that stage in your life at the correct spot getting ready for retirement.
Oh God, this is scary. What's the number?
The number is said that by 35, whatever your highest paying job was. So if at one point in your life you were making $70,000 a year, that number should be double and in your bank account right now.
Whew.
And if it's not, by 35, you actually are not going to retire at the age. 65 is the retirement age. You're not going to retire by 65.
Well, I will say this: we've crunched the numbers, and we have a number in our head that we're trying to hit, and we have an age that we're gonna do. So as long as we follow our plan, we'll be happy. Like I said, this is something we talk about a lot.
And it's funny because you live. It's funny. I think you're definitely going to reach that. I know you are. Like, I just know down in my mind that you're going to reach that number, whatever number you're comfortable with, because you and Lynn have always lived a frugal type of lifestyle in the sense of you don't. It's funny because whatever vices you do have, in spending wise. Mm-hmm. It's not backbreaking. You get me?
Oh yeah.
You don't have something that where you really lose a lot of money into it, and at the same time, at least it's funny because I envy you and judge you too at the same time. So for example, you're married and you have no children. I'm married and have a child. So when I think about the flip, like let's say if I had chosen to not have children, it baffles my mind of how you have not, you should have pins on a map of every single fucking place you have been to now. and you have zero interest for this. And I know that, but that fits your personality and that fits Lynn's personality. And so it's great that the two found each other and you're comfortable living like that. But it makes me mad when I'm like, you have all this money, you have all this time. Why the fuck have you not been? Why have you not sent me a picture from Japan where I can tell you to go fuck yourself because you're eating sushi at this place, or like you've done X, Y, and Z. Like I feel like, you know how you always sometimes you see other people's benefits in their life and you're like, I'm totally wasting it. I see your life sometimes. I'm like, you motherfucker, you're so wasting it. I want to kill you. But that's just a difference of personality.
No, I know, and I one thing that it took me a long time to get to was figuring out what was my priority in terms of what I need in my life. For instance, some people need to go out every Saturday to a bar or to wherever and spend a certain...
Just dinner.
Yeah. So, yeah, any things like that. And I figured out pretty quickly, especially once I got married and settled into a routine, it's like, what do I actually need to be happy. And these are things I consciously sat down and thought about and then had conversations with Lynn with.
Now, hold on. Let me ask you a question, though.
Yeah.
What you're describing, though, did you actually reach that realization because you wanted to save money and you wanted to figure out exactly what you needed? Or were you forced to do this because this is what happened when you went back to school and you stopped working?
No, this was before I went back to school. So this was literally just what is important to me.
So this is in the heyday of when you were making loot.
Right.
Okay.
Like, for instance, I recognized really early on because we had friends that wanted to go to bars very often. And I thought about, does going to a bar make me happy? Like, no, buying 3 Blu-rays makes me happy. I could buy 3 Blu-rays for like, $30, or I can go to a bar and spend $50 every week. And
I never understood the every week people. And even when I did, and I like going to bars, but even when I did, it was always for specific reasons. It wasn't just because it was Saturday. I never understood those people.
Well, once I realized that stuff made me happy, it made it easier so when they would invite us to come to the bar, it made it easier for me. It made me comfortable to tell them no. Like I don't feel like going out. Whereas before I would feel guilty. It's like, why don't I go out? And then but actually sitting down and thinking, okay, does going to a bar make me happy? No, it does not. So if they invite me, I don't feel uncomfortable when I say no. Obviously, I'm not like a jerk about it. I'm like, no.
But you know what's funny? And that, my friend, is the first thing that is the benefit of coming to age and maturity. Being able to say no in life is the greatest achievement you will ever unlock.
Yeah, it's true.
Because because there's so many different facets to the word no. That people are like, I'll tell you this much, from teenage years to probably about 25, I didn't know how to say no.
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't say no. And there were times where even for my own health, I should have said no, but I didn't because it was just like, it was always this thing like, oh, it's not even necessarily disappointing the person you're saying no to.
Right.
It was more about, again, that sickness of the validation of that person and not wanting to have being brought down any notches in their head because you said no. And it's so liberating when you finally realize that saying no is not a bad thing.
Right.
And that if then people judge you for saying no, these are the type of relationships you actually have to examine if they're worth having or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we, that's how this applies to the same thing we were talking about with Facebook. It's just if they're not bringing value into my life, I'm wondering why I keep them there. So people obviously are worth more than a night at a bar. Yeah,
of course.
I'm not a fucking monster. I'm not gonna.
At the end of the day, like even just saying no because you didn't feel like spending those $50, the thing is that there's even such a thing as just moderation,
right?
Because it's just a moderation, because yes, you are missing the type of social interaction that you would have enjoyed anyway with them. But at the end of the day, you do the math. Like, was that social interaction worth the $50?
And even just what you were talking about, how you hate me for not traveling and going to these different places. It literally is like, I mean, me and Lynn can afford to go on vacation. We can afford to fly to all these places, and we have a list of places we do want to visit. Now that my time is freeing up, I didn't have free time for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But the reason we don't go all these places is because honestly, sometimes we take vacations and we'd rather just stay home, and whereas I feel like some people feel like it's our vacation, we have to do something big. We have to.
Oh my God. So that's hilarious that you said that, because I don't remember who I was talking to. It might have been my sister. I don't remember. But remember when you and Lynn came?
Yeah. I
described to them what that week was like.
Right.
And they literally told me, like, are you, like, I got yelled at. I got yelled at because what they said to me was like, you made him drive all the way from Philadelphia. He drove 24 hours nonstop, and all you motherfuckers did was eat out and then watch Netflix all day.
Right. Yeah.
Like that. Like you didn't fucking take him to X, Y, and Z, or you didn't do this. And then in my head, I'm like, you don't understand who these people are.
Yeah. I mean,
like in reality, what we did was exactly what we would have done if I was there in their home anyway.
Right.
Like, that's what we would have done. The only difference is that now they get a little bit more Mexican than normal.
Yeah, and to me, that was like the perfect vacation, was being able to go somewhere and not worry about work, not worry about this and that, and try out new food, and just spend the whole day laughing, watching TV shows, and just sharing stories. Bullshitting. Yeah, like the only aspect of that vacation I didn't like is that I wish I had more time to stay down there. We were only there for 3 days. You know, I wish I could have stayed a whole week. You know, just doing that. Like, that was the only thing. And yeah, it's not a typical vacation, but I would have. I'm glad I did that over, let's say, spending $3,000 going to Paris or something like that.
Let me tell you something. That's where me and you are wrong. Because if you tell me I can drive to Philadelphia and spend 3 days with Fred, or I can go to fucking Paris, I'm sorry, I'm choosing Paris.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but you know what? I saved $3,000.
That also equals out. I mean, again, that's just equaling out of the personality.
Right.
It's just like, you know what I've actually have gotten obsessed with lately?
What's that?
I have. I first started with the Netflix show Chef's Table, right? Mm-hmm. Just seeing all these culinary wizards and mavericks doing their shit. And then there's another show now. You know who Phil Rosenthal is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
he has to eat things or something, right?
Yes. He has a show on Netflix called Somebody Feed Phil.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is like a continuation of a show that he used to have on PBS. Is basically the same premise. It's just done a little bit more cleanly than it was 2 years ago. And it's just this guy traveling around eating food everywhere. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, he actually is living this retired life that, number one, I know even if we save all the money, we're never going to be able to reach. Mm-hmm. Because obviously he's a fucking quadrillionaire, so he can afford to do the kind of traveling that he's doing. And he's getting paid even more money to eat and travel because he's recording it. Oh my God, Fred, that is, you know how there's all these little inventions. There's always this app that you thought, like, why did I think of that? Why did, like, all these $1 million ideas? Why didn't I think that it was a smart idea to just travel? I should have taken all my money, invested all this money, and just recorded myself traveling and eating and sell it to fucking Hulu or somebody.
Yeah?
Because now these shows are amazing now, and people gobble them up like me because I'm seeing all the. And what I do is that I keep a list on my phone of where these people are going. So I'm like, when I go there, I'm gonna eat that shit. I'm gonna go there. So like, me and Lynn are planning. Like, we know that we want to go to Italy, but when we go to Italy, anywhere that she says we want to go now, I already have like a list of like 20 places that we have to eat at.
Wow.
So like, I want to go eat all this crazy shit. But yeah, like I've gotten obsessed with even just in Texas, we're trying to plan a night where we're gonna go to this taco place that apparently has a back room where it's made to feel like you're at grandma's house. And the kitchen is right there. The chef cooks this 10-course meal.
Jesus Christ.
And it's like, but the thing is, it's like a chef's table tasting. So it's not big portions, but it's like this completely like chef's table type presentation. You're eating all this crazy food from this guy who just recently won the James Beard Award in Texas. So I'm like, ever since I started watching these shows, I've become obsessed with like, okay, like at least once a year, I want to go to a dinner that's going to cost me $200.
Oh.
Like, and I'm fine with that because I'm going to treat myself once a year to eating a $200 dinner.
I mean, that's the. I see in my head. I cannot fathom eating a $200 dinner.
And
I
that's the
can't.
funny part because financially wise, it's not something you couldn't do.
Right, I could.
You'd be fine. You could do that tomorrow and you'd be fine.
Yeah.
But in your head, you're like, but I have Wawa.
Right.
And I get you for $5.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just the way of thinking. I cannot imagine spending that much money on just food.
I think it's because traveling and food are synonymous together.
Yeah.
And it's just like when you allow yourself to spend just a little bit more money and you eat the quality of the food that it is, I think it just blows your mind and it just changes something in you.
See, I like traveling, but I think what I get out of travel, for me, the benefit of traveling is to have a fun story and interactions with people. That's why, one of my favorite vacations me and Lynn ever did was we flew out to California and then we drove back.
The road trip.
And the whole idea for me was I wanted to see this weird shit that made up America. Like I wanted to get a lot of slices of life. So for me, like we went to a lot of interesting places. Like we flat out, we made an itinerary of things we wanted to hit. Like we had to hit certain things. And one of a little aside, one of the things we were going to go see is the Grand Canyon, which is one of nature's miracles. And literally the day we went to go see it was the day the government shut down, and instead of going to see the Grand Canyon, we got a picture saying that the Grand Canyon was closed.
Oh my fucking God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was literally the day we were going to go was the day it happened. And they were doing no tours or anything like that. So we couldn't go see it. But it did suck. Obviously, we would have preferred to have the experience in that story. But now we have another story, which I could tell for the rest of my life, is that...
It is funny.
It is funny, yeah. So that's... Things like that is what I enjoyed. But the other thing I really enjoyed was... like just driving through neighborhoods in, New Mexico or Kansas or all these people, and then just imagining what my life would be like if I lived here. Like I would just drive through a neighborhood and just stop the car and just look at these houses and the yards and just being like, what would my life be like if I lived here?
Isn't it crazy just architecturally how different other states' homes are?
Oh yeah, just you have miles between you and a neighbor.
I remember thinking, I never understood why people bought ranch houses.
Right.
But in reality, ranch houses is probably the most normal home in America.
Right, yeah.
Like, I don't understand how people live without basements.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that basements was really an East Coast thing.
Right.
Like, there are no basements anywhere else. It's very rare to find basements in other states.
And basements are so useful.
They are. They're completely useful. They flood a lot, but they're useful.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah. That's how when I think of the future, I think of retirement. I think of not working anymore ever again. And if we stick to our plan that we have right now, and there's no reason why it wouldn't be. We want to be.
What age?
Right now, we're thinking. Right now, we're thinking around 55.
Jesus, that's early.
Yeah.
That's really early. Are you going to work part time?
Ideally, no, but yeah. If all goes to plan, we wouldn't really need to. I mean, at that point, I have a government job right now. I would have a pension that would kick in. I'm also paying into a fund that kind of works like a 401k.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Lynn currently has a 401k she'll be able to dip into, and plus both of us have significant savings that we're able to hit a certain number.
You know what? That's beautiful because you have a clear goal set, and now it's just working towards that.
That's all it is. Yeah.
And at the same time, too, you're not going to be, what's the word? You're not going to begrudge yourself anything while doing it.
What else can you ask for, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the American dream. That's the American dream. So, and you were able to do all that because you had two children. Because when you add a child, you're adding an additional 30 years.
But honestly, and obviously that helps a lot. But honestly, I think if I wanted kids, I'm just the kind of person that is always planning ahead in that way. So I think even if I had kids, I would be incorporate them into my plan, into what I need to be happy. It's like, okay, I need to be able to afford to do this with the kid, to send them to school or whatever. And I also need to be able to buy a certain amount of Blu-rays every month. And I also need to be able to save enough money for retirement. Go ahead.
I'm not even fucking worried about it because it's just like at the end of the day, especially the new norm in America is that you're gonna be in fucking debt with school. So you know what, Amber? She's gonna be in fucking debt with school too. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. So let her deal with it.
Well, we will pay you as much as we can, but sorry, sweetheart, you're gonna have to go get your loan. So go get yourself in debt, and you better fucking get a job that is gonna pay. Because if you're gonna go be a fucking English teacher, you're not gonna be able to pay those loans.
Oh God, no.
You're not gonna be able to pay those loans. So you better fucking pick your job wisely. Plain and simple. Or you could do what we have specifically set it up. So Amber is gonna have a dual citizenship. So she's gonna have a citizenship to the Philippines, so she can go to the Philippines and go to college in the Philippines. If she's smart, she will go to the Philippines and get her degree there, because it will be so much cheaper than anywhere else, and there's zero translation issues. You learn. Everybody speaks English in the Philippines. All your classes are taught in English, and your degree transfers over like nothing. Zero issues.
Yeah, so... okay, go ahead.
And that's how Lynn does it. So my plan is simple. Like, it's funny because because of your choice of not having children, you're going to be able to retire and stay in the U.S.
Right.
Because we already know we're not going to be able to retire and stay in the U.S. in the timeline that we want. So we're going to have to retire, and we're going to live in the Philippines, which actually I'm cool with, because all I really want is my house on the beach and my boat. I want to go on my boat every day. I want to fish. I want to come home and give that fish to Lynn and have her cook it and repeat.
Hey, that sounds like a nice retirement to me.
Like, I just want it on a beautiful fucking island.
Yeah.
And where everything is stupid cheap. I'm like, that's my plan. I don't want to stay in the U.S. I'll come to the U.S. to visit on holidays.
Yeah, just to bring it back around to our theme of the night. Because I'm looking forward to my retirement so much. I mean, for me, retirement means not working, obviously. It means catching up on all these video games and movies I've been collecting, but I haven't been watching all this time. And most importantly, that to me is going to be the big crunch time of when I'll be able to write. Like, I do a lot of writing now. I have a lot of free time to do that, but I still have to go to work. You know.
So what I want to ask you then, in spirit of this whole like getting older and things changing in our lives, there used to be a time where you always casually joked about it, and there used to be a time where I even myself recognized it and always thought that you never took this seriously. So I wonder what your thought process is now. I've always felt like you never really took your health seriously enough.
My health?
And yes. and you always joke about it. Like, you always joke, oh, I'm going to die before Lynn anyway. I'm going to die by this age, and it doesn't matter. Like, you have said this time and time again. And now you're talking to me about retirement and these plans that you have. So because you know you've reached this goal and you know you want to meet them, have you noticed a shift in how much more you think about your health and the things you're doing to change that? Or are you still as cavalier as you've always been with it?
Well, okay. I mean, the real the truth I'm going to reveal here is I've always been concerned about my health. I give a flippant attitude about it because it's actually
It scares you.
It scares me. Yeah, it's in the forefront of my mind 24/7. It informs.
Jesus, and that's funny because you like even I remember even trying like I know seriously about it with me.
Right, I don't want to talk seriously about it with anybody. It's tough. It's tough. I have a hard time talking about it with Lynn sometimes, and it's just the way I deal with it. I know I'm not king health, king diabetes. Like some people are way better with it than other people, but you thinking I don't take it seriously is a very fair observation, because I by my design I don't want people, if I show I don't care about it, then they won't care about it, and then they won't worry. That's what it comes down to.
They won't bother you about it.
Yeah, but the truth is, I think about it every day. It's the most important thing to me, and so that in terms of have I changed my lifestyle and whatnot for it, I will say this: I struggle with it, but I am not. I see a doctor every 3 months. I check my blood sugars sometimes. And my A1Cs come back, and sometimes they're high, sometimes they're just right. So, in terms of my health, I am constantly monitoring it, and I'm not in danger, like some people. So, is there a chance my health will shorten my life significantly? Absolutely. And can I do things to help that? Of course I can. There's a lot of things I could do with my diet and with exercising and whatnot. But I have adjusted my life as much as I'm willing to change my quality of life for it. And unless something significant happens, like I win the lottery and suddenly I can eat the healthiest food in the world all the time, and I don't have to worry about work and fitting in meals around my work schedule and things like that. Unless something like that happens, nothing's really going to change. So I'm either on a path to an early grave, or
you're maintaining the projected time that you could live.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty much on a path that is almost unchangeable now, and I've accepted that there's really not much that I'm willing to do about it. It's just it is what it is,
See, and it's funny because, and you have said that we have had enough of a serious conversation where you have said that phrase to me where you have changed enough that you're willing to change.
Right.
And I'm glad that you've reached that point, but just because I care about you, it saddens me that you haven't reached a point where you're where you're willing to do more. Where like it's almost like you're living like if we were talking about a temperature gauge, you're living your life in the yellow and you're not willing to live your life in the green.
And I understand where you're coming from with that, but
you get that?
Yeah, I completely.
But at the same time, too, though, I'm a complete hypocrite because I'm the same as like you. Like I don't follow my own advice.
Right.
I know I used to live my life regularly in the red.
Right.
And if anything, having a child now, and even having the free time that I have now, I mean, I cook our own meals. Right. I decide our diet. If I decide tomorrow that we're going to fucking start eating kale and eat the healthiest of things, no one has a choice. That's what we're eating from now on. You get me?
Yeah.
And even then, I still live my life only in the yellow. And like that's probably the same things that you think. Like it's almost like, why am I going to begrudge myself just the simple happiness in life just so I can live in the green?
Yeah. It really comes.
But I know I should be living at least more in the green than I am now.
Yeah, it is about quality of life too. I do think it's worse to live to 90, but you're miserable, all the time than to die at 60, but you had a good life.
Yes.
I do strongly believe that. And obviously, I don't want to die young. I love my life. I love what's going on. But, I've tried living healthily, and I'm miserable when I do it, So
I think, and it's funny because people always tell you, like, yeah, it's going to suck, you live miserable, whatever. But then, I don't know, like, you meet healthy people. Even when I meet healthy people who have always been healthy, I'm like, fuck you, you don't know what happiness is, right? But then I do meet people who I know was an unhealthy fuck like I am, and then they became healthy, and they genuinely seem happy.
Right.
And what they always tell me, which I guess I believe to be true, but I refuse to make it my truth, is that there is going to be a period where you are going to be miserable. But when at some point, it's like your misery plateaus and your body changes, and what you used to crave and what was that miserable feeling goes away, and you start realizing how much happier you are because you're healthier all day long.
Yeah, I mean it's true,
and I know that's probably true. But I don't. It's almost like I don't want to go through that misery.
Yeah.
Like I just don't want to go through that misery. Why isn't there a pill that just makes me feel healthy, happy during the misery?
Would that be great?
If there's a pill that makes me feel happy during the misery, I'll probably stick with it. But right now, that pill doesn't exist, so I'm not willing to live that misery.
Yeah, and the truth is, I mean, I'm always striving to better myself, and honestly, the last 5 or actually really more like the last 8 years, my situation has been erratic. Because even when I had a stable job that I was, a career that I was doing very well at, that career had me traveling all over the country and working.
You were eating like a fucking garbage box.
Yeah, working long hours that changed from week to week. And everything. So really, it's like the last 8 or 9 years, my life has been unstable, and only recently has there been any sort of consistency. So think about that long a period of time where there's been no consistency whatsoever to my schedule. And now that I'm having consistency, I could see myself reevaluating like exercise, for instance, or cooking at home more as opposed to eating out all the time. So maybe I'll inadvertently become healthy now that I have time to actually do it.
No, you'll still cheat.
I mean, there's some things.
It's like there was a point where, especially the first year of Amber's life, where I did notice a change in my diet just because whatever I was eating was getting fed to her too.
Right.
So knowing that I had to make things more healthy and better for her. But then now I find myself like there'll be times when like if I am gonna go eat outside, I'll go and get her the Chick-fil-A, but then I'm gonna go get myself the Wendy's.
Wait, get me? What's the difference? What are you talking about?
Because the Chick-fil-A is definitely bad for you, but
Wendy's isn't.
No. It's all bad for you.
Okay.
But of the major places that you can eat out at, Chick-fil-A has the most healthiest options that if you choose to eat healthy, you can.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So I get that for her. But for me, I'm still going to go to fucking Wendy's and get that triple burger.
Yeah.
All that cheese. Jesus, I want to go drive there right now. See, and this is the fucked up part. Like, and it's hard because it's like a drug, man. It really is like a drug.
It is.
Like my fat ass sometimes, like I'll go to Walmart in the middle of the night because we need shit, and it's just better to go at night. And then like I'll go to Walmart, but I'm like, oh, but I'm outside the house right now. I could really go get a fucking double stack.
Yeah.
If I wanted to right now. And I can eat that shit while I'm in Walmart shopping. And that's just like so. And like, I'll even drive all the way to Wendy's and then just finally just realize what I'm doing and turn around and go to Walmart. but I made it that far. I made it that far. Like I really had to guilt myself to not do it. Like, and that's when I think, like God, this shit is like fucking, like, this is my cocaine.
Yeah, same.
This was the drug that, even though I never really did drugs as a teenager, or like other people did, like, this was my addiction. Like, just eating just fucking garbage, man.
Yeah.
Garbage. And it's a very hard habit to kick. At the very least, back in at the end of February, beginning of March, I don't know. Lynn has always been on my ass about exercising, and we got to do more. And she wants to lose weight, and she can't lose weight because I'm not doing it with her, which I never fucking understand. I don't understand why there's these fucking women that just can't. If you want to go do something, go fucking do it. Don't use me as an excuse of why you're not doing it. I hate that shit. Don't fucking guilt me into doing something because you want to fucking become skinny again. Like, I'm comfortable with my fat self. You're the one who's always complaining, not me.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we are now approaching the age where we're starting to see the consequences of our poor decisions.
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of our diets. Yeah, I mean, going upstairs. I mean, I substitute teach, and sometimes I go to a junior high that's 3 stories high, and sometimes I'm on the 3rd floor for one period, then I'm on the 1st floor for the 2nd period, and then 3rd floor, 3rd period. Stairs are my enemy.
Dude, how disgusted do you feel with yourself when you realize that, okay, so a flight of stairs normally is anywhere between 8 and 10 steps, okay? Uh-huh. How disgusted do you feel yourself? Do you ever have those moments of, like, self-evaluation when you've gone up 5 steps and you're, like, heaving and out of breath?
Yeah. Yeah, it's happening.
And you've only done 5 steps, and you think to yourself, and it's almost like you have this epiphany type, like you even tell yourself, I need to do better. I need to fucking change this. But the change never happens.
I literally think, okay, this is the exercise. What I'm doing right now, that's me exercising.
And it's not. You're lying to yourself. So, back at the end of February, beginning of March, Lynn was on her usual trip about fucking exercising. And I guess she broke me. Uh-huh. Like, I just couldn't hear that shit anymore. So I finally I did this thing where I've had an Apple Watch for a couple years now, and I got her one, but we never used it for the fitness reasons at all. So we finally started using it for the fitness reason.
There you go. Maybe that's what I'll do.
I've always had this obsessive personality. Where, remember, you don't know, like, if I start something, I need to finish it.
Right.
And if it starts in the middle, I got to start from the very beginning. Like, it's just always been like that. So I became obsessed with filling the rings on my watch and being really pissed off when I can't. To the point that now, if it's like 11:30 and I haven't filled my rings yet, I'll go and drive to the fucking gym that's here.
Wow.
And fucking kill myself just to fill my rings. And I've done that. So it's May now. So all of April, I've been doing this. And I've now reached a point where I'm not losing weight, but I'm not gaining it anymore either.
Hey, that's an accomplishment.
Because I refuse to change my diet, but I have added exercise in my life, and so has Lynn. But I also am fully self-aware that, so on your watch, what you do is that you get to set the amount of calories that you want to lose a day, right? And all the movement and exercise that you do gets calculated and recorded on your watch. I set my watch to 800 calories back in March. I have not added more calories to that, when in reality I now prove to myself that I can fill these rings every single day for straight for 2 months. I really should add another 200 calories to start making it harder for myself and make myself do even more work that will finally lead to me losing weight. But I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to do more work than I'm already doing.
Well, you started.
I even thought up of nice hacks to be able to fill my rings faster. Like I'll be walking around the house, like even if I'm not exercising, like I'll take longer strides and move my arm much more faster than I normally would in the house, just because I'm like, I don't want to fucking stay in the gym that much longer. Like, come on, you know.
Well, that's the problem. You're always trying to find some kind of loophole or something.
Listen. I am my father's son. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I am my father's son. So I will always try to find a hack if I can, or some loophole if I can.
Well,
yeah, like at least I'm doing that. But I know I should be doing better. And you would think that, and like Lynn even uses it as a guilt. Your daughter needs you in her life. You're going to die. Blah blah blah. And again, I have that same conversation with myself, where you're like, I really need to change something. I really need to do better.
Right.
But like I need to be alive for this person. But fuck, that double stack tastes so good.
Well, we should be wrapping this up. I want. This is my last thought I want to give about aging, and then you can give your last thought. I think the thing that comes to you more naturally as you age is you have a grasp of time, and that encompasses what you've gone through and how that affects you, and how your actions, the consequences they will have for your future. So you basically have a better understanding of your place, of the place that is the present, and how you got there, and how the present will affect the future. So in that respect, getting older for me, like I said before, has been a positive experience, because I feel wiser, because I feel I have a better sense of myself and a better sense of time, and getting what I want out of this life. And I feel like getting older is only going to be better, because when I retire, I will be just getting the reward for the life that I've led. And I think I've led a pretty responsible life, and hopefully that leads to a very fruitful and fun retirement. That's the plan anyway. So there are some insecurities that come along with it, and health is probably the biggest one. I wish I had the health of my 15-year-old self and the wisdom of my current self, but obviously that's not how the world works.
That adage is true, that youth is wasted on the young.
It really is. I mean, there's so much I wish I had done differently when I was young, when I had all the energy and all the health in the world.
Like, it's just man, the one thing I would change, you could change so much. The one thing I would just say is, like, just go back and say you need to set up healthier habits than you have, and not even like just not health wise. I'm saying just in life. I never really set up habits,
right?
Like habits, and if you don't set them up early enough, you're never going to be able to create new ones and stick to them.
I think it goes back to
very hard.
I think it goes back to what I said almost 2 hours ago. I think whatever happens in our formative years only exacerbates and sticks with us for the rest of our lives. If you had bad habits when you were 14, you're going to have those same bad habits your whole life.
Jesus Christ, Mom, you couldn't fucking do a better job.
Yeah, right. It's all our parents' fault. So yeah,
so it's our parents' fault.
Yeah, so that's my thoughts on aging. Any last thoughts you want to leave us with?
What I think about aging is that the wisdom that you gain, it's gained in a twofold sense, because you're older and you're more reflective of your life, and at the same time you gain the wisdom because you've actually experienced the shit. But the bad thing about it is that I don't know how to explain this. It's like, you gain the wisdom because of the bad things that have happened sometimes in life, but at the same time, it's even harder to how incorporate that wisdom. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like, it's even hard
I get it.
to incorporate that wisdom, especially if you it really depends on your personality. If you don't have the type of personality where you're going to try to better yourself every day, you're really fucked in this world. you're going to be fucked.
Yeah.
You need to learn to better yourself at least in one thing every day. And like, for example, like, I know for a fact that adding a child into my family is going to fuck us money-wise, time-wise, stress-wise. I know these things, but I still want another child anyway.
Right.
And Lynn is fighting me every day on telling me that this is a bad idea.
And she's right.
And she is 100% right.
But what is?
But at the same time, I have this paternal need to want another one.
Right. Yeah.
And I just want one more, and I know it's just gonna extend things even longer. It's gonna add more stress in our life that in reality we don't need. But at the same time, I want this, like, for as much stress that Amber brings into our life, she does. The happiness we get out of her is completely multiplied.
Right.
And it's like, I don't want another child because I think it's going to make me happier. If anything, in reality, I want another child because I want to add more happiness to Amber's life. Mm-hmm. Because being an only child sucks.
I wish I was an only child.
And you actually, a lot of the only children that I know are deeply flawed in ways that happen because they were only children. And I don't want that for Amber. She needs to not be an only child, and at the same time, later on in life, at least healthy people who have good relationships, that brotherly and sisterly relationship really is key. And even if you don't appreciate it as a child, or even in your 20s, but you do reach, like, I feel like right now I have the best relationship I have ever had with my siblings. and that when we were kids, I used to hate my sister, hate her. And I still, even not to this day now, I still know she's completely full of shit. But I have a better relationship with my sister now than I have ever had my entire life. And I'm happy that I have my sister. If I didn't have anybody at all to muse with, especially when it comes to the point where your parents are getting older and you're dealing with all these things, I don't know what the fuck I'd do with myself. I wouldn't have been able to move from New Jersey to Texas had I not had siblings that are not going to move and stay with my parents.
Right.
I couldn't. There's no way I couldn't leave my parents. I don't know why I delved into that.
You need to get it out, man.
I guess I just needed to get it out. But I guess just getting older is something that should be fun and is something that should be enjoyable if you finally reach this point of calmness in your life. And I hope that people finally reach that point. Because if you're still on fucking Facebook complaining about how you haven't found love, there is still something deeply flawed in you. And you need to fix that.
Lovely.
For the love of God, that person needs to fix that.
And what a wonderful note to go out on. Well, thank you for joining us on this conversation, and we will see you next time.
All right, tell me when you stop recording.
I'm about to stop right now.
Okay, who is it?